Hello everyone, welcome to London Stadium for live Premier League football of West Ham United and Aston Villa, the only Premier League game this afternoon here on 5 Live. You can hear it all with us. We'll have the first half here on 5 Live Sports Extra, and providing that game between Chelsea and Leicester over on 5 Live right now in the FA Cup quarter-final does not go to extra time, we will pick up live second half commentary over on 5 Live as well. Myself, Chris Wise, and the former Welsh international Danny Gabbidon, part of your commentary team here in East London this afternoon. A little bit of blue sky peeking through those grey clouds above us. This stadium is very quickly getting full. 62,500 expected in here again this afternoon. And Danny, for two teams off the back of great European weeks, big wins, and chasing another campaign in Europe next season too via the league. Yeah, both teams having excellent seasons, aren't they? You know, in Europe as well. I thought both teams were excellent in midweek. Obviously, West Ham being one down, the onus was on them to come back in that tie, and look, it was an emphatic victory. And Villa very much the same up against Ajax. Now, you look at obviously Premier League performances, 2-2 draw here against Burnley for West Ham. Did well to salvage something from that game, and obviously we know Aston Villa were very, very poor up against Tottenham. So both teams will want to bounce back, will want to continue from those performances in midweek, and I think this is going to be an intriguing game, like tactically as well, contrasting kind of styles from both teams. Going to be interesting to see who comes out on top. Here come the two teams then from the tunnel just down beneath us to our left-hand side. I say just beneath us, is quite a way down to our left-hand side, and the familiar sounds of West Ham United home games with the bubbles ploughing out from the two bubble machines either side of the players as they emerge onto the pitch here at London Stadium. West Ham United and Aston Villa. West Ham currently 7th in the Premier League. They're 4 points behind Manchester United, who are immediately above them. And Aston Villa, who had an interesting afternoon yesterday, watching Tottenham lose at Fulham off the back of Spurs, of course, putting 4 past Villa at their home last week. So they will fancy their chances of extending that gap again to Ange Postecoglou's team. There are 2 points between Villa in 4th and Spurs in 5th heading into this afternoon's game. So let me give you the two teams then as they turn and face us up here at London Stadium. For West Ham United, 4 changes from the team that drew with Burnley here last week. So David Moyes has altered a few things. He's taken out Aguerd, Creswell, the luckless Calvin Phillips, who hasn't really got into his stride since joining on loan in January, and also James Ward-Prowse, who's rested today by David Moyes as well. So the 4 to come in: Zuma, Emerson, Alvarez and Antonio. So West Ham in 4, Areola in goal, Sofal, Mavropanos, Zuma and Emerson, who is back fit after missing a couple of games. Then Alvarez and Souček in midfield, Bowen, Paquetá, Kudus ahead of those, Mohamed Kudus with those brilliant goals on Thursday night here against Freiburg in the Europa League, and Michael Antonio leading the line, looking for a West Ham goal for the first time since August. For Aston Villa, the big team news: no John McGinn for them. He is starting the first of a 3-match domestic suspension. He'll be a massive loss in that Aston Villa midfield. He's played every single Premier League game so far this season. But Ollie Watkins is fit. There's 3 changes in total to the Villa team that were beaten by Spurs last week. So with McGinn dropping out, also Cash and Digne go to the bench. In come Moreno, Morgan Rogers, who's making his first Premier League start for Aston Villa, as is John Duran as well, the Colombian. Loads of times he's come off the bench, but this is the first time he starts a Premier League game today. So Martinez in goal, Konza, Longley, Torres and Moreno the 4 defenders, Bailey, Douglas Luiz, Yuri Tielemans and Rogers, with Duran and Watkins, we think, Danny, will be as a front 2. We think so. We saw Unai Emery go with a back 5 against Tottenham. That didn't really work. They really struggled with it, kind of build up from defence kind of into midfield, made some silly mistakes, and then Tottenham duly punished them. 4-4-2 is a system that Unai Emery has played before, and it's very, very positive from what we saw kind of last weekend. So what an opportunity for Duran. As you say, he's had a lot of his minutes to kind of come off the bench this season, so he'll be delighted to get a start, and it's up to him to take full advantage of that opportunity. We're just seeing the referee on our little screens in front of us. Jared Gillett is the man in charge this afternoon. 4th official on the touchline is Sam Allison. Tony Harrington is the man at Stockley Park, the VAR. And Unai Emery, who has taken his seat on the bench, the Aston Villa coach, on those plush padded West Ham United claret and blue seats. And we are almost set to go here as the two captains break away from the centre circle. And when we were coming up in the lift earlier, Danny, we were having a bit of a discussion about how we thought this game might play out, and you said, I fancy goals today.
I do. You know, Villa beat Fulham this season. West Ham in recent games at home, I think it's 11 goals in the last kind of 3 games at home. I see this being an open game. You look at West Ham and how they play. Yes, they like to sit a bit deeper and try and be compact, but at times this season we've still seen teams kind of slice through them and create chances. So I think this is going to be a really exciting game of football. I think both teams will contribute to that.
So away we go then, the only Premier League game this afternoon, live here on 5 Live. It's Aston Villa who get it started. Douglas Luiz with a long ball forward, and it bounces all the way through to Alphonse Areola. So West Ham in their home strip of the claret and blue, going from left to right, and Aston Villa in their change strip of the white shirts, the sky blue shorts and the white socks, going from right to left in this first half. And these West Ham supporters, as we look around the stadium, can't see too many spare seats. There are still some fans coming into this stadium. They will be hoping their team make the sort of fast start here that they offered on Thursday night in that Europa League win over Freiburg.
Yeah, that's what the West Ham fans like to see. Bumped into one of my ex-teammates here at West Ham, James Collins, just before kick-off, and he was talking exactly about that. You know, Thursday night against Freiburg, they started on the front foot, and it was an excellent performance. And I think some of the negativity from the fans is when the team doesn't do that, when they start slow, they allow the opposition to come onto them, and then it's kind of difficult then to kind of pick things up. And sometimes we don't see West Ham pick things up until maybe they've gone a goal behind. So he'd be looking for a fast start, David Moyes, I'm sure.
Tielemans pushing a pass forward from inside the centre circle, which runs all the way through to Alphonse Areola, who is David Moyes' regular choice in Premier League games, the goalkeeper not on the European scene. Lukasz Fabianski still getting his opportunities. 50th Premier League meeting, by the way, today between West Ham and Aston Villa. More draws than any other outcome as Bowen breaks away down the right-hand side. Good covering from Aston Villa to get that out of play for a throw. It was Longley, I think, who got dragged over there. Maybe Moreno was the one who got the final touch. It's out for a West Ham throw deep inside Villa's half on this right-hand side, and Sofal is going to change the ball, actually. He's going to get one off one of those little blue cones by the side of the pitch, and he's taken the throw into the feet of Paquetá, whose cross has taken a deflection. Longley got his head to it initially. It's nodded back in, and here's Bowen on the volley, and a great save by Martinez. The flag's up for offside anyway. It wouldn't have counted from Jarrod Bowen. He got hold of that pretty well, and Martinez was equal to it.
Yeah, excellent save. Was offside. The flag did go up, but good early chance for Jarrod Bowen, just forcing a save for Martinez. And that's the difficulty with those kind of long throws. Aston Villa actually win the first contact, but it's really difficult to kind of clear the 18-yard box. And they do a good job of recycling possession. West Ham goes back into the 18-yard box, just drops to Bowen on a slight angle, catches the volley well, but good save from Martinez. Flag did go up.
No surprise to see Jarrod Bowen back in Gareth Southgate's England squad again this week for those forthcoming fixtures against Brazil and Belgium, given the season that he's having for West Ham United. 18 goals, 14 of which have come in the Premier League. And a foul on that far right-hand side on Ezri Konsa, who's playing as a right-back for Aston Villa today. And he has won Villa a free kick just on the edge of their own penalty area. 3 minutes played, West Ham 0, Aston Villa 0. Danny Gabbidon.
Yeah, and just on Jarrod Bowen, playing in his more natural kind of right-side position this afternoon, and with Antonio kind of coming back into the team, it almost gives West Ham a bit more of a more balanced attack, I would say. Kudus off that left. Paquetá we don't often see as a natural number 10. He's played a lot of games kind of off the left-hand side, off the right side sometimes as well. But I just think with Antonio kind of leading a line, just allows Bowen, and in particular Paquetá, to play in their more natural position.
Tielemans just able to squirt the pass out to the left-hand side for Moreno, who's just inside his own half. His pass down the line is closed down by Sofal, out of play for a Villa throw. 10 yards inside their own half on this near left-hand side. No goals so far, but one back for Leicester City at Stamford Bridge in that FA Cup quarter-final. Chelsea 2, Leicester 1. Axel Disasi scored an own goal in that game. It's live right now on 5 Live with Ali Bruce Ball and Pat Nevin here, with Villa in possession and a relatively pedestrian start to this game. That chance for Bowen obviously had people off their seat, but Villa have enjoyed most of the ball so far, though Duran has lost it over on the right wing, and West Ham regain it with Kudus, who immediately turns to try and get at Villa's defence, and they'll be very wary of what he might be able to do today. But the attempted 1-2 didn't come back to him from Paquetá, and Villa bring it forward here, and they spring with Duran on this left-hand side, forced into a wide area, waiting for support now with Moreno, and infield for Douglas Luiz and Tielemans, and back with Douglas Luiz again, 10 yards inside West Ham's half, slightly left of centre. Now the Spaniard Moreno has it, the left back on this left-hand side. They're inside West Ham's final third now as Rodgers pushes it through the gap, looking for the run of Moreno, and his cross is closed down and West Ham clear.
First time really we've seen Aston Villa with the ball, patient build-up. Moreno eventually getting in behind and aside the 18-yard box, for West Ham doing well to defend. Morgan Rodgers, first Premier League start. We spoke about Duran, good opportunity for him today, but also Morgan Rodgers, who played in midweek in that win against Ajax and keeps his place in the side on this left-hand side.
Yeah, those two starts that he made against Ajax in either leg for Aston Villa of that UEFA Europa Conference League round of 16 game, they're the only starts he's made for Villa, having joined from Middlesbrough in January. It should be effectively dealt with from that left-back area by Emerson, who sweeps it away up to the halfway line for West Ham. Paquetá gets it down on his head and then bounces off his legs, and it's gone out of play for a Villa throw, though Lucas Paquetá is absolutely convinced that should have gone the opposite way.
It was just a ball played into that channel area, and he's just trying to make it difficult. Paquetá for Longley. He does so. Difficult one to see from where we are. We're pretty far away. We'll take the linesman's word for it.
There's Rodgers for Watkins. Watkins trying to turn it round the corner in the box for Duran. It was the wrong side of him. It's out to play with his left boot by Kurt Zuma on that far right side. So it's a Villa throw, just gone past the 6-minute mark. No goals so far. The only opportunity, that one very early on for Jarrod Bowen, which would not have counted anyway. The offside flag was up against him, but Martinez made a very sharp save, and Villa have it again, and they're having a lot of the ball in these early throws. The team that are fourth in the Premier League, Unai Emery's side, 55 points so far from their 28 games, 2 points ahead of Tottenham Hotspur, and they must have been licking their lips at that scoreline at Craven Cottage last night, Danny.
Yeah, that was an interesting result, I have to say. Didn't expect that one. Fulham are a really good side, but Tottenham went at the races, so added incentive for Aston Villa this afternoon. It's interesting looking at West Ham and how high they are going to press this afternoon. They're not a team that generally likes to do that, but you're looking at...
Oh, poor clearance from Martinez. He gave it straight to Souček and then unable to take advantage. West Ham, his effort was closed down, and actually now it's Villa who break away from the middle of the park. But super defending from Mavropanos, came across, stood in front of his man, won the ball back for West Ham United, and then Souček is a bit wasteful as he dinks one into the channel for Jarrod Bowen, who doesn't get to the ball. A push in the back of Moreno, and it is a Aston Villa free kick.
A little bit nervy there. Aston Villa looking to play out from the back. Martinez just about getting away with that one. And that's where Tottenham kind of had a lot of joy. As Aston Villa being aggressive, pressing, forcing mistakes in really advantageous areas for them.
2 super wins for these two on Thursday night. Villa beating Ajax by 4-0. Obviously West Ham went one better with those 5 they scored against Freiburg, the biggest European win in the Hammers' history. That one here on Thursday evening. Raucous atmosphere as well, as a high ball over the top is one for Watkins to chase for Villa. Out of his penalty area is Areola, and he's headed it away. He hasn't got much purchase on it, and Rodgers has got it back, and Watkins has slipped it in, and Duran can't quite muscle his man off the ball. So foul, doing enough back there, and it's cleared away by the boot of Areola.
Yeah, excellent recovery run. So foul, if he doesn't get back in and goal side, then Duran's in on goal and finishing there.
Off goes Douglas Luiz again, halfway inside West Ham's half. Here's Duran, who's dropped a little deeper to retrieve it now, the Colombian. Back in field for Yuri Tielemans. 8.5 minutes in, 0-0 between West Ham and Aston Villa here on 5 Live Sports Extra, as Konza progresses forward on that far right-hand side. Villa going from right to left in this first half towards the Bobby Moore stand. Their supporters are over towards our right-hand side in the Sir Trevor Brooking stand in that lower section, as Moreno tries to get him round the corner, away by Mavropanos, who's had a solid start in there, the West Ham United defender. He's cleared it upfield. The header is won by Torres, the Aston Villa centre-back. And Villa have it again with Torres just outside his own box.
Yeah, Unai would be delighted to have him back in the team in recent games. Pau Torres, he's so important to Aston Villa in terms of the build-up, really comfortable in possession. Not ideal today, having kind of two left footers at centre-back. Longley's the one doing the job on the right-hand side, but a lot of the build-up kind of starts through Pau Torres, as I said, very kind of comfortable on the ball.
He's been struggling, hasn't he, with ankle problems this season, Pau Torres, which has restricted his game time. This is Mikel Antonio on the right. Decent ball that into the penalty area. Well dealt with by Konzo's cleared it away, but back out to this right side again where Antonio retrieves it. Has he kept it in? He has. It is going to be a West Ham corner because his cross is closed down at the near post. And the Hammers have their first chance from a set piece to disturb Aston Villa this afternoon.
Yeah, the initial ball in from Antonio was a good one, just lacking runners in the box as well. Dealt with initially by Konzo. Villa get the ball back on this near side, but then they were just really sloppy, giving the ball away. Then they have to defend another cross.
Jarrod Bowen, who's going to take it in front of those visiting Villa fans, raises his right hand into the air, left-footed into that near post, and the header is comfortably over the top of the crossbar from Paquetá, who was lingering on the edge of the 6-yard box, but it was a good 3 or 4 yards over the bar from the West Ham attacking midfielder.
He just gets too much on it. It's a chance for him on that near post area. Good delivery from Bowen, and I think it's Duran who's supposed to be marking him, but it's a free header on that near post. Nobody's in front of Paquetá, as you would expect from a defensive point of view, and he's able to get his head on it first. Just gets too much on it.
It's a landmark day actually today, 50th Premier League appearance for West Ham for Lucas Paquetá, as Villa run right through the middle of West Ham with Morgan Rogers, but he didn't take the ball with him, and it allowed Souček to get back there and just nab it back for West Ham. And now Antonio chasing a dink ball over the top. Martinez out of his penalty area, heads it away, and then an ambitious effort from way out, which was not going to be one that was going to have Martinez scampering back with any worry at all, and Villa have it again.
Yeah, good chance for Morgan Rogers there on the counter-attack. That kind of central area just kind of opened up for him to drive into, and as you say, Chris, just ended up kind of stumbling on the ball and leaving it behind, and then West Ham looking to counter and play the ball in behind that Aston Villa high line, but it's the through ball slightly overhit for Antonio.
It was very much Aston Villa's game when these two met back in October. They beat West Ham United by 4 goals to 1. Prior to that, David Moyes had a brilliant record against Villa. He'd gone 14 consecutive games unbeaten. Here are Villa inside West Ham's box. Low shot towards the near post, and it is turned away by goalkeeper Areola. That was very good indeed to deny Ollie Watkins, who was sharp shooting and trying to beat Areola, but he was equal to it.
Yeah, clever run from Watkins. Just as Bailey picks it up on our hand side, cuts inside that left foot, and he just darts off the back of Thomas Souček, I think it is. He's on a slight angle, certainly worth taking the strike on. Good save from Areola.
So now Villa's first corner on this Sunday afternoon. 0-0 between these two. We're coming up to the 13th minute mark, and Villa have got 6 players in white shirts inside that West Ham penalty area, and it's come to Moreno on the edge of the box, who went for an ambitious volley. He's come back out to that far right hand side, and the flag is up against the corner taker, which was Leon Bailey. So a West Ham free kick forthcoming, 0-0.
Yeah, it looked like one they'd worked on the training ground. Just looking to fire a ball to the edge of the 18-yard box for Moreno to hit on the volley. Connects on the volley and gets it all wrong. Actually volleys it all the way back to the corner taker, Leon Bailey. He's offside.
I mean, he didn't mean it, but had he meant it, it would have been a heck of a pass.
Great ball.
So an early opportunity for Ollie Watkins then for Aston Villa, and they, I'm sure, will imagine that a few more will come his way today. It's good to see him fit as well, because obviously he was forced off, Ollie Watkins, on Thursday night with a cut to his knee in that win over Ajax. He only lasted 33 minutes. There were some doubts over whether he was going to be able to play today, but he is in the Villa starting 11, and it is Villa with the ball at the moment as Longley sweeps one out to the halfway line on this left-hand side for Moreno. Back in field for Yuri Tielemans. Rather apt that Chelsea and Leicester are meeting today in the FA Cup, and we're seeing Yuri Tielemans here because, of course, he scored the winner in the FA Cup final almost 3 years ago between those two clubs. As Villa win a throw on the far right-hand side, Duran just allows that ball to trickle out of play. Big opportunity for John Duran today. Won't have seen too many chances to be in the Aston Villa starting 11 this season with the form of Ollie Watkins, but he's in the team with Ollie Watkins, and he's gone to get that ball from the Villa throw on the far right. He's got it down by the byline. Duran, his cross is blocked, and it is out of play for another Villa throw, I think, just over right by that corner flag, Danny, as it's come off the thigh of Edson Alvarez.
Yeah, he's a player I like, John Duran. I think he's got a lot of potential. Quick, powerful, strong, but in order for him to develop, he needs that kind of game time, which is kind of difficult for him in a minute, obviously with the form that Ollie Watkins is in.
He's only 20 years old. In comes the Villa throw towards that near post, and it's bounced out of play off Souček's left leg, so it is going to be a Villa corner. And they now are beginning to ask questions of this West Ham United defence for the first time this afternoon, 15 minutes in here.
He's just starting to control possession, Villa, after a slowish start. First couple of set-piece situations.
Tielemans with the delivery from the right, high one up towards that far post. It's come off a West Ham head, and that's why Alex Moreno is going to allow that ball to run out of play for a Villa throw on the opposite side, this near left. And he's decided to change the ball as well. There clearly must be a bit of grease on that pitch, because the players keep swapping the balls when they're going to take throw-ins, and both teams have done it as well, Danny.
Yeah, I think there has been a bit of rain, hasn't there, and pitch probably got raw just before kick-off as well, so they are using the long throw. Aston Villa, we've seen a couple come in already.
Off goes Bailey with that lovely gate on that right-hand side, coming back infield onto his left foot, halfway inside West Ham's half. Now the ball on the halfway line in Villa possession with Ezri Konsa. Gets it back off the short pass from Douglas Luiz, who's been linked with a move to Arsenal this week, I saw. It's a reflection of the sort of season that Douglas Luiz has had in that Aston Villa midfield. Konsa again with his right foot, clipping one forward, nobody there, and bouncing 3 times and into the feet of Areola, the West Ham goalkeeper.
Yeah, I think it's 9 goals this season, is it, for Douglas Luiz? And never really thought he was that kind of, defensive midfielder, really. I think he's a bit more of a number 8, likes to get forward, and is obviously capable of scoring goals for the team. So I think the way kind of Unai Emery has kind of utilised him this season has been absolutely perfect, and no surprise to see him being linked with other clubs. He's a fantastic player.
Match of the day 2 tonight, by the way. Highlights of this on BBC One from 10:30 with Mark Chapman. We'll bring you highlights of the FA Cup games today as well on BBC One following that from 5 to 11, and the Women's Football Show at 11:35. So tuck yourself in for plenty of football on Sunday night a little later on today. No goals so far here, and remember, Manchester United against Liverpool in the FA Cup, the final of those 4 quarter-final games. John Murray and Michael Brown will keep us updated. Here's Morgan Rogers, edge of the box, shoots low, and Areola to his left-hand side clings on, and maybe with that right boot of Rogers there wasn't quite enough thrust behind the effort to trouble Areola.
Yeah, not enough conviction, but everything before was really good from Morgan Rogers. He's playing off that left-hand side, but he just drifts into a central area, gets into a pocket of space, and then he's driving towards that 18-yard box.
Now the London Stadium's on their feet, because at the other end Kudus has got it for West Ham, switches it to the edge of the penalty area. Souček takes it on, right-footed, sends it to this right-hand side for Sofau. His cross back in, Bowen with the tee up, low shot deflected wide. It was Paquetá's effort, and it's come off his own man Souček, I think, on its way through, and with Martinez grounded inside his 6-yard box, there was nothing he could do about it, but he watched it drift wide of his right post for a goal kick.
Yeah, so close. Souček, I don't know if he knows too much about it. He's just trying to react as that shot comes in from Paquetá. They counter-attack really well, West Ham, eventually moving the ball from left to right. The ball gets whipped into the feet of Bowen. Really good first touch, lays it off to Paquetá, who's looking to side foot it low into that far corner. It just comes off his teammate, who just flicks a right boot out, trying to divert it into the corner. Not too far away.
Did score a goal, actually, Thomas Souček at Villa Park 3 years ago, and was very close to getting the first one there. I don't know, I guess it would have been his. It would have gone down in his goal. He didn't mean it at all. He didn't know it was coming, but it would have been credited to the Czechia international. 19 minutes played, 0-0 between West Ham and Aston Villa, though Villa have just given the ball away from the edge of their own penalty area. Alvarez has got it for West Ham. It's now with Kudus, who's dipping himself into the penalty area with those low shoulders as he was trying to navigate his way through. He's got it again, back off Paquetá on the left. Kudus looking for the room, another left-footed delivery which is closed down, back with Paquetá. He's drifted it in right-footed. Antonio's got his head to it, but Sofao was actually behind him, and I don't know whether he couldn't hear the shout, but maybe if he'd have seen that through, Sofao would have had a chance there.
Yeah, it would have been a better option for Sofao on that far post. But Villa just turning the ball over in a poor area again there.
Yeah, and just as West Ham were building up a bit of momentum, Bowen with a little layoff which has not found a teammate, and Villa get it up to the halfway line where there is a foul on John Duran, who is down at the moment holding his right leg. He's quickly back up to his feet with those green boots. It was a little late, wasn't it, from Mavropanos?
Yeah, he's a front foot defender, Mavropanos. Sometimes as a defender you just can't win the ball. You have to accept that the ball's going to go into front man's feet, and you just got to hold your ground and then get back into position, but just couldn't resist having a nibble it.
Scored an own goal last week here against Burnley, Konstantinos Mavropanos. Another goal at Stamford Bridge, another goal for Leicester. It's Chelsea 2, Leicester City 2, so the Championship side have come from 2 down to level things up. Mavadidi's got the equaliser there, and Leicester are, though, down to 10 men. They've just had Doyle sent off, so maybe that game is not done at Stamford Bridge, but the difficult season that Mauricio Pochettino is having at Stamford Bridge seemingly going on, because I think most, even given how good Leicester have been this season, most would have expected Chelsea to see them off today.
Yeah, missed a penalty as well, didn't they, Chelsea? Sterling.
Yeah, absolutely, they were 2-0 up at half-time in that game, Chelsea, even with that missed penalty. 0-0 here between West Ham and Villa as the Hammers come forward down the right with Sofao, got almost towards the byline, and his cross is closed down by Rodgers, who did well to go all the way back with him, and West Ham United have a corner as we make our way towards the midway point in the first half.
Just those couple of moments with Villa just kind of turn the ball over in bad areas. It's just kind of got the home crowd going. It's just given a bit of incentive to this West Ham team. Dangerous from set pieces, as we know.
No James Ward-Prowse in the team today, so it's a corner from Bowen, and falling backwards Martinez with the punch pretty much on his goal line when he got his hands to it, but he did get it away, and now Villa try and break with Duran down the left hand side, but good backtracking from the player who took the corner. Jarrod Bowen, he's all the way back there to clip it away from the feet of Duran and put it out for a Villa throw on the left.
Yeah, really good recovery run from Bowen there, doing some good defensive work. Equally as good from Martinez in the Villa goal, because that ball's whipped in on top of him. He's under pressure from Antonio. Possibly been a foul, but did really well kind of getting enough purchase on that ball to kind of clear the 18-yard box.
Both the managers are right out on the edge of their technical areas at the moment. David Moyes in his padded grey West Ham United jacket. Unai Emery has gone for the slightly sharper look today with the shoes and the black jumper. He stood about 15 yards over to the left of David Moyes as Villa break on the far right-hand side, and with some numbers as well. They've got Bailey in possession here, and Bailey is trying to find a way past Emerson. He's now inside the box. He's lifted it in. Did that hit the hand of Emerson? I mean, from here it looked like Emerson's hand was outstretched. It's not been given, and Villa have got it again with Rodgers. Rodgers has got it to Watkins. Watkins on the edge of the box. Now Douglas Luiz. Here's Moreno looking around for options. Rodgers with the pullback, but pulled it back into the path of Jarrod Bowen, who's cleared it away. Thoughts on that potential handball? I mean, we're a long way from it here.
It did look from where we were like it hit the hand, but I think it's a difficult one if it did for the ref to give. He's so close. Bailey to Emerson. Emerson, I don't think he can really react.
And now Bowen, who's breezed away from 2 challenges for West Ham United, but on a third one, brilliantly stopped in there by Clement Longley, who dived in at the feet of Jarrod Bowen, but got that challenge spot on, didn't he?
Yeah, he certainly did. Had to get it right as well. Under pressure, Bowen, though, he's got 3 or 4 Villa players around him, and really well-timed tackle by Longley. They're just stepping in.
Game a little livelier now, 23 minutes in. Still no goals between West Ham and Aston Villa here. The only Premier League game this afternoon. Remember, only 1 of 4 this weekend. Had the wins yesterday for Burnley, a rare one for Vincent Kompany's side. For Fulham over Spurs, the 1-1 draw between Luton and Nottingham Forest, which was our commentary on 5 Live yesterday afternoon at Kenilworth Road. And Villa slowing things down again as they keep the ball on the edge of the halfway line in their own half, and they have it with Konza into the feet of Tielemans, who sends it right-footed further to his left-hand side for Torres, who has a little look around Pau Torres to assess his options. Then Moreno gets going on the left. Torres wants to find him. Sofal saw the run. Sofal cuts it out for West Ham United. And Paquetá keeping possession, but at the moment he's got his back to the way he wants to be going, because Rodgers is right down there with him, and Rodgers has ended up fouling him, and it's a West Ham free kick.
Yeah, one of the best in the Premier League, drawing fouls. Paquetá, he's got nowhere to go, really. You could say it's a silly foul to give away. Morgan Rodgers has got nowhere to go. Right in, deep in that corner, almost by the corner flag, and he's just looking for something to open up, and Rodgers just gives a silly foul away. Just looking at that penalty shot again, the monitor definitely hits the hand of Emerson. It's almost, I think he's trying to flick it just to the side of Emerson. He sees the run of a teammate. He just almost flicks it straight onto the right arm of Emerson. Never a penalty. There's no way he can react quick enough.
There's Paquetá dinking one down the right side for Bowen, who's down by the corner flag now for West Ham United, going from left to right in the first half, the Hammers, as Bowen puts his foot on the ball, trying to negotiate his way past Alex Moreno. Went to pop it through the legs of the Spaniard, who was not going to let that happen. And Villa get it up to the halfway line. Duran is fighting for it. Duran's nodded it on for Watkins. He's done really well there, the Colombian. Watkins is now inside the penalty area. Mavropanos is trying to get that back with him. And the cross from Ollie Watkins is caught by Areola before it gets to Duran, its intended target. And West Ham come forward down the other end.
Yeah, Mavropanos there wants to get into a fight with Duran, and he loses it, gets bullied. Just nods the ball into the path of Watkins, who's in behind, just lack of quality on the intended cross, but really good, powerful, strong centre-forward play there from John Duran.
The Women's Super League, they're in closing stages of Brighton and Manchester City's game. City are 4-1 up. Here's Bowen inside the box for West Ham. His pullback has come all the way to Sofal. Deflected effort, saved by Martinez. Back with Sofal again. He tried to clip it up for himself and half volley it into the top corner, and he didn't get the second execution right. It's behind for a goal kick, but the first effort is a great save from Martinez.
Very good. It takes a deflection, makes the save more difficult. They moved the ball really well. West Ham, it's a little dink in behind. Bowen's in behind, cuts it across the 6-yard box, and Moreno can clear it, but he overs it, he leaves it, and the ball runs out to Sofal, who hits it on the angle, and he just takes a little nick of Pau Torres, I think it is. Martinez, or it's actually Moreno, and he has to get down really quickly. It's a really smart save.
I'll get this stat out now, Danny, because I'm not sure he's going to have another chance. Vladimir Sofal has never scored for West Ham United in 143 appearances for them. And even though that one would have gone in via a deflection off Moreno, it certainly would have been his goal. Here he is again, 10 yards in from the right touchline at the midway point in Villa's half. Antonio, who's drifted into the wide area. Souček's made a little run into the box. Antonio is barging his way past a couple of Villa players, and only goes Antonio. In the end, it was one too many. Villa clear. Hooked back forward again by Zuma. Rodgers has got time to take a touch, the youngster. But under pressure, he didn't have enough time to keep things going, and West Ham were alert to that. They've got it back, and they have it with Bowen on the right. Bowen's curling delivery, headed away by Longley, picked up again by Sofal. This is Paquetá, 20 yards outside the box, left-footed out to the left-hand side for Kudus, who is coming back from an offside position. The flag is raised against him. Villa free kick, 0-0.
Yeah, West Ham just doing a good job, particularly in that midfield area, just stopping Aston Villa from progressing up the pitch. In 3 or 4 occasions now where Villa have just been a bit sloppy in possession, turn the ball over. As I said, that's just kind of got the home crowd going. It's just given a bit more incentive. This West Ham team just need to be a bit more assured in possession, Aston Villa in their own half.
So they're in the final 10 minutes at Stamford Bridge now, over on 5 Live in that FA Cup quarter-final. Chelsea 2, Leicester 2. Manchester United against Liverpool to come from 3:30. We'll have updates of that with John Murray and Michael Brown at Old Trafford. Here's Antonio at the byline. Kudus in the box, but still on an angle, and nothing would sit quite right for him. And it's clobbered out of play in the end by Pau Torres, who didn't want to take any chances, and West Ham have got a throw on the left.
Sloppy again. They take a quick free kick. Villa, Longley looks to turn out, and he's trying to play the ball across the 18-yard box. Ball gets away from him. Antonio steps in.
And West Ham retrieve it, and Souček has it 15 yards outside Villa's penalty area. Sofal on the right, lovely cross by him, and a brilliant finish as well from the diving Mikel Antonio with his head inside the 6-yard box, and he's waited a long time for that. Mikel Antonio, it's his first West Ham goal since August, and it's all about the ball in from the right, and it's West Ham 1, Villa 0.
Yeah, hasn't got a goal to his name, Vladimir Sofal, but he's got plenty of assists this season, and I think that's his 7th. What a ball in. Antonio gets across his man, and he's just stooping low, and he controls the header into that far corner. But the goal comes from Villa. I spoke about them being sloppy in possession. It comes from a quick free kick, a short free kick that they play. They turn the ball over, West Ham get it back, and they move the ball from left to right into Sofal, and it's a really good delivery into a really good area for Antonio to attack, and he just gets across Ezri Konsa. It's not the easiest of chances because he's under pressure. The delivery's low, he's stooping, under pressure. He finds that far corner. Martin has absolutely no chance in a Villa goal.
It's really brave, isn't it, Danny, as well, from Mikel Antonio, because he so easily could have taken a boot to the head from Ezri Konsa in there, because that's how low he had to stoop to get to it.
Yeah, it's an awkward one for your centre forward as well, because you might maybe try and volley that as well. So he's got a decision to make. Do I head it? Do I go with my foot? He's under pressure from Konsa, but he gets the right side of him into a really good area, and then it's a really good header.
Now Villa looking for their response as Bailey goes between two, felt that he was sandwiched as he tumbles to the ground, but Jared Gillett shakes his head. No free kick for Aston Villa. So West Ham 1, Villa 0, and we have played just over half an hour here at London Stadium. That goal from Mikel Antonio, his first in 18 games for the Hammers, as Moreno picks it up for Villa on the left-hand side. We haven't had too many clear chances in this game, Villa. We've seen some really swashbuckling performances from them away from home this season, but it feels like they haven't really started here this afternoon in East London, as Sofal, who provided that goal, has his clearance closed down. It's dropped back to Villa player Duran, who tried to pull it back for Watkins, and actually the flag is up against John Duran for offside.
Yeah, they get quite narrow, Aston Villa, as a team, particularly when they play like this 4-4-2. I'm just looking at them on that left-hand side. Bailey plays with a bit more width. I'm looking at like Morgan Rogers, and he is playing quite central and kind of tucked in, and West Ham, when they're able to kind of move the ball from left to right, they've got Sofal in on 3 or 4 occasions, and this time the delivery's absolutely on the money. I think he just evades the head of Longley, and Antonio just gets goal side of Ezri Konsa. He's no more than 4, maybe 5 or 6 yards out, and he's just got to concentrate on getting the header on target, which he does.
Just seen a shot of Unai Emery, the Aston Villa manager, scratching his chin, wearing a pensive look on his face with that slicked back black hair. But I wonder if David Moyes might be slightly anxious about what he's seen at the moment as well, because Mikel Antonio has not asked for treatment, but he has been down for about a minute or so, and he is back on his feet now, the West Ham United goal scorer, but he's holding that right shoulder, Danny, and he's grimacing a little as well.
Yeah, you can only think that was something to do with the landing as the ball's played into his feet. Longley's really tight, just pushes him over, he draws the foul, and maybe just on the landing there, just landing on that right shoulder.
He's still rubbing it, Mikel Antonio. He doesn't look wholly comfortable. It is a free kick down the other end of the pitch for his team, which Areola, the goalkeeper, is about to take. Never kept a clean sheet against Aston Villa. Alphonse Areola has conceded 11 goals in his last 4 games against them. And up to the halfway line it goes, where Paquetá twists and twizzles and tries to play a pass down the right for Bowen. It didn't work. It came back to Paquetá, and his body strength allows West Ham to keep the ball. And Zuma with a low pass out to the left-hand side for West Ham's Italian left-back Emerson, who's given it to Mohamed Kudus, who hasn't really got into the game so far, has he, Mohamed Kudus, considering how electric he was here on Thursday night against Freiburg. Off goes Paquetá down the middle. No surprise to see the offside flag go up there against him, because it did look like he'd gone too soon, Danny.
Yeah, just trying to exploit that Aston Villa high line. That ball over the top is on. Seen a lot of teams try that against Villa this season. Not too many have actually succeeded with it. They've been pretty good in terms of the numbers holding that high line. Just go slightly early there, Paquetá.
And Gabbidon, former Welsh international, with us here on 5 Live this afternoon. Presuming you were actively avoiding a couple of big sporting events involving either domestic Welsh teams yesterday or rugby teams possibly. It wasn't a great day, was it, for your boys all round?
Let's not go there. Wooden spoon in the rugby.
Wooden spoon in the Southwest Derby, as far as you're concerned, yeah.
Disappointing afternoon for me.
West Ham pinch it back on Villa again, who have been pretty sloppy in possession at times. Paquetá, Kudus has got it, he's on the left angle of the penalty area. He's trying to wiggle his way to create some room, and he's got the corner off Kurt Zouma. It's come off Zuma's leg and then his back, I think, and Kudus immediately indicating to the crowd with his hands to lift the tempo.
Yeah, much the sharper the two teams, West Ham. Haven't really got going. Aston Villa been sloppy again, kind of in possession, very similar to what we saw in the Tottenham game, a bit second half against Tottenham, giving the ball away in poor areas. West Ham doing a good job of stepping on top of them.
So here comes the Hammers corner then. Emerson with his left foot. It was aimed for Mavropanos. It was powerfully headed away by Longley all the way up to the halfway line, and it is sent by Alvarez back to Areola, who's 10 yards outside his goal at the moment as he dinks one forward. The header by Rodgers wasn't brilliant, but Douglas Luiz read the situation and just managed to get a boot in there ahead of Antonio to divert it back to Martinez as we move towards the final 10 minutes of the half. West Ham 1, Aston Villa 0. The goal scored by Mikel Antonio, the assist from Vladimir so far.
Yeah, and you wouldn't say maybe the goal was coming, but I think Aston Villa have been, it's their own downfall really. They kind of allowed the crowd to kind of get up, but just being a bit sloppy on 3 or 4 occasions in possession, and that's where the goal actually comes from. They play a really poor free kick, short free kick, give the ball away. Eventually West Ham punish them.
Paquetá is trying out his own skill set on the edge of his box, and for most that would elicit panic, but it seems to be with Lucas Paquetá that doesn't seem to be a problem. But what is an issue for Lucas Paquetá is off the back of distributing the ball, looks like he's taken a whack maybe to his right calf. That's where he's rubbing at the moment. Obviously he's had a few injuries this season, hasn't he?
He certainly has, but you know, that man there is press resistant, almost so difficult to get the ball off him. He's got great feet and so strong, and plays a dangerous ball across the 18-yard box. I think it's Moreno that kind of comes in and just takes a blow on the side of the calf there. Seems to be okay.
Has had a calf issue this season, Lucas Paquetá. He missed 6 games because of it. West Ham didn't win any Premier League game this season when Lucas Paquetá has not been involved. So that is the sort of difference maker that he is for David Moyes' side, who is stood with his arms folded at the moment. David Moyes watching on his team at the moment, leading 4th place Aston Villa by 1-0. And remember, if West Ham win today, then they will go within 1 point of Manchester United in 6th.
Incentive for both teams this afternoon, you know, with what happened to Tottenham yesterday for Villa, as you just mentioned there, Chris. Manchester United not playing, obviously involved in the FA Cup, a chance for West Ham to close the gap.
Late winner at Stamford Bridge for Chelsea. Chelsea 3, Leicester 2. So it looks like Mauricio Pochettino's team have found a way to avoid extra time against the 10-men opponents of the Championship. Remember, they were 2-0 up in that game, Chelsea. Leicester got it back to 2-2. Closing stages right now on 5 Live. Here on 5 Live Sports Extra, with Villa in possession inside West Ham's half, but only just with Douglas Luiz with those green boots. Now back on the halfway line with Pau Torres, but it is West Ham who are 1-0 up here against Villa, who have been brilliant in recent weeks away from home. 3 away games in a row they've won on their travels. The Sheffield United, Fulham and Luton as well. It's 15 years actually since they last won 4 on the spin. On the road, Villa in the Premier League, and they're the ones that have won a throw here, which is about 10 yards back from the corner flag in West Ham's half, and Moreno has gone over to collect the ball, the Villa left back, to take this throw. 38 minutes on the clock. West Ham 1, Villa 0, and it comes from Moreno, a short one, and towards the feet of Rodgers, who is slaloming between a couple of West Ham challenges, and it comes off Paquetá and back out for a Villa throw, but we're almost back on the halfway line now.
Yeah, they've done a good job, West Ham, of kind of getting bodies back into shape and just slowing down Aston Villa in possession. It was quite slow, the tempo Aston Villa are moving the ball with, and got men behind the ball, West Ham, and then they're just looking to spring off the back of that then.
Oh, poor from Longley, got his pass wrong. Antonio's given it to Kudus. Kudus with speed into the box, and he shoots wide. Wasn't the easiest angle for Mohamed Kudus because he was moving quickly. He had presence of bodies around him, most notably Ezri Konsa, and he's fired it wide of Martinez's right post.
Yeah, he's always taken the strike on there. Kudus not able to hit the target, but again, giving the ball away. Longley stepping into midfield, doesn't know what's around him. He's got 3 West Ham players around him. They rob him of the ball. And the ball gets just played out to Kudus, left-hand side, the 18-yard box. He's looking to drill a low shot past Martinez, not able to hit the target.
Unai Emery was saying this week that he needed his team to be more consistent. That's what he wanted from them. At the moment, the Aston Villa defence, I imagine, Danny, will be giving him a bit of a headache, because that is not the first time, is it, in this first half that they've been guilty of being sloppy with their distribution from the back.
Yeah, and I think you have to give a lot of credit to West Ham as well. They've probably looked at what happened in the previous game against Tottenham, and they've been really on the front foot, West Ham, probably more so than we're used to seeing. I think they've got the balance right of when to kind of press high, when to kind of sit off and be compact, and they're just waiting for those balls to kind of go into that midfield area, and then they're really kind of going with intensity and intent, and they've won a lot of ball back in good areas for the attacking players.
Kudus on the left flank for West Ham United, in towards the final 5 minutes of this first half at London Stadium. Switch from the left to the right for Sofal, who provided that first goal, and he's just pushed a pass into Bowen in the box, and Bowen tries to drive it into the penalty area. It is a corner that's been given by Jared Gillett. There are several Aston Villa players who, I guess, are appealing for a goal kick. Maybe they thought it came off Bowen, but the decision is West Ham corner. It's Alex Moreno, I think, who was diving at the feet of Bowen to stop it. And West Ham leading goal scorer placing the ball down for this Hammers corner, again into that near post. A good bit of defending from Duran, who taking up an excellent position, but it's not cleared. It's Kudus, it's gone in, but the referee's whistle has gone. It is not going to count, and I think Emi Martinez will be pleased about that, because it eked underneath him from the effort from Mohamed Kudus. I'm not quite sure what the infringement is, Danny. Did you spot that?
I didn't. I'm not sure if there's a handball somewhere. Ball's whipped in. It's won by a Villa player on that near post. Yeah, maybe Martinez just impeded it, Antonio, but it's the other one who gets robbed of the ball inside the 18-yard box, and Kudus with a snapshot which finds the corner.
As his shots tend to do at the moment, Mohamed Kudus. Rodgers, the youngster for Villa, to Watkins on the left-hand side. Watkins, who had that one early chance, but not really a sniff since. Douglas Luiz is on the periphery of West Ham's penalty area. He's giving it back to Watkins just on this left-hand side. Now Moreno has joined in to be part of this passing triangle now. And Souček puts his boot in, and West Ham retrieve it with Bowen and then Paquetá, and they're very happy and comfortable to play their way out. Paquetá's just back-heeled it into the path of Alvarez, who's given it to Antonio. He's given it back to Alvarez. He's left it for Souček, who has now sent that to the far left-hand side for Emerson. Not too much on for him, so he comes back in field. West Ham 1, Aston Villa 0. Danny Gabbidon.
Yeah, Paquetá there. Party tricks coming out already. He's had an excellent first half, but not just what he's been doing in possession, retaining possession for his team, runs in behind, but also just his work rate as well. I think we forget about that sometimes, how hard he works for the team, and just slow in possession again. Now Aston Villa, they get around West Ham's 18-yard box, and West Ham have got lots of kind of bodies there in the right position, and really just finding it really difficult to find that penetrating pass through.
It's 5 weeks today since Arsenal won by 6-0 here, but even in that very short period since West Ham's biggest home defeat since 1963, it feels like the mood has changed again at this club off the back of that win on Thursday night in Europe to get to another European quarter-final, and the improvement in the league form once again for David Moyes' team. Certainly very different to when I was playing, that's for sure, Chris. You know, the last 3 or 4 seasons have been really, really good. David Moyes has done an outstanding job. You mentioned Europe there, how good they've been in Europe kind of the last 2 or 3 seasons, continuing that this season. Watkins now for Douglas Luiz from distance, and you can understand why Douglas Luiz might have had a go there, because they haven't managed to break West Ham down with their creative play. And Alvarez very neatly spinning away from the challenge, 5 yards outside his own penalty area. Chelsea have scored again against Leicester in that FA Cup quarter-final, so they now, I think we can say, in stoppage time, are going into the semi-finals. So Chelsea, Manchester City and Coventry City are the 3 teams we know will be in those FA Cup semi-final draw. We're just waiting for the one more. Will it be Manchester United? Will it be Liverpool? 3:30, that game gets underway at Old Trafford. Last 90 seconds of the 45 here at London Stadium. West Ham 1-0 up against Aston Villa. Mikel Antonio with the goal just before the half hour, with the diving header from Sofal's ball from the right, and it was a beautiful assist as well from the Czech international, as Leon Bailey who has struggled to leave his mark on the game so far, gets challenged by Emerson, and it is him who brings it away for the Hammers on that left side, and then Antonio, as it moves up the pitch, gets West Ham a throw.
Yeah, just looking at Aston Villa there, and they're in possession of the ball. Moreno gets it on his left-hand side, and he's the one kind of looking to create that width. But as he gets the ball then, he's looking for an option. He doesn't have a wing outside him because Morgan Rogers is playing very central, and a lot of Aston Villa players all in that central area where the West Ham players are. So you can see the frustration with Moreno. They end up turning the ball over, and you can see him remonstrating a little bit with his teammates. He's just looking for an option, but there's nothing really there for him to pass the ball to.
West Ham have got a free kick just inside their own half on the opposite side to us, the far left, and we are a long way from the action here, aren't we, at London Stadium? If you have not been here before, obviously there are positions in this stadium that are set so far back from the pitch, but it almost feels like there is another football pitch between us and the pitch, and the action that we're watching here from our commentary position as Mikel Antonio pushes Longley in the back from a ball over the top. So Villa free kick on the edge of their penalty area on that right hand side, and Longley has put the ball down and immediately getting on with things. That is the 45 minutes up, so I'm just looking down at the fourth official, Sam Allison, and he is indicating on his digital display with a red number 3 appearing on his ball. So 3 extra minutes at the end of this first half, and West Ham, as it stands, leading Aston Villa by a goal to nil and moving to within a point of Manchester United in 6th in that Premier League table. And Villa will want something more, and certainly their supporters will want something more in this second half. Here is Tielemans. Maybe there is a break of fortune for them before the break, as Konza gives it to Bailey on the right hand side, back towards the feet of Konza. Here is Tielemans, left-footed, low infield, just inside West Ham's half to Torres, out to the far left hand side for Moreno, whose cross is deflected and then met on the half volley from Souček to clear it away for West Ham, and then out to play a little scrappily really from Pau Torres for a West Ham throw, who look like they're going to close this half out with what they have, Danny, the advantage. Yeah,
I think they've been the better of the two teams, West Ham. They've been more aggressive, more on the front foot, played with more energy and intensity. It's been a bit laboured from Aston Villa. They've really struggled to get anything going in this first half.
Bailey turns and tries to start another run for Aston Villa at this West Ham defence. There's lots of bodies around him, but Bailey's got all the way into the penalty area. He looked to pull it back for Duran. Cut out, but Villa keep possession on the far right-hand side. Konza has it now with the white wristband round his right wrist. Now Douglas Luiz. And here is Torres, 20 yards outside the Hammers box. Moreno on the left-hand side, back with Torres again, but there's less than 90 seconds remaining of stoppage time here as Villa look for an equaliser before half-time. Torres tried to force the issue. Mavropanos clears it away, and Moreno goes back to the halfway line. And look at this Claret and Boo low block at the moment, Danny. They are sitting in.
Yeah, again, just having to go back into central areas. Ball comes to Moreno. He doesn't have an option outside him. He has to go back inside, then they look to penetrate through a central area.
Watkins coming short to retrieve it, just outside the box. Shot from Watkins, wide of the right-hand post of Areola. Didn't catch it as cleanly as he would have liked, Ollie Watkins, and it did bounce on its way to goal. And a wry smile on the face of the England international. West Ham goal kick.
Yeah, just had to kind of drop off those two West Ham centre-backs to find a bit of space, and he does so. Ball played with his feet, he's able to turn, drives towards the 18-yard box. He's on a slight angle, he's just looking to strike that across Areola. Before he's been in, you wouldn't have been surprised if it nestled in the far corner, but never troubling the West Ham goalkeeper.
Yeah, 16 Premier League goals for Ollie Watkins this season. Those goals have been worth 13 points to Aston Villa, which is more than any other player in the Premier League has provided for their individual club. This is kudos for the Hammers, who's lost it, and maybe Villa can break right at the end of this first half. Seconds remaining of stoppage time. Bailey, he's carried it 40 yards already. He's now 10 yards outside the box. He's got options all around him, and joining in the attack on this left-hand side is Rogers, who's in the box. He's got it to the byline. His pullback has spun out of play for a Villa corner. I'm not sure they're going to have time to take this, though. They're not. There's the half-time whistle from Jared Gillett. There's a few Villa players with their hands up in the air there, frustrated that they're not going to get the chance to take the corner. But when time's up, Danny Gabbidon, and that completes a disappointing first half, I imagine, from an Unai Emery perspective, but a workmanlike one from West Ham.
Yeah, West Ham would be absolutely delighted with that first half performance, and that's the type of performance that the West Ham fans kind of want to see, on the front foot, starting the game sharply, full of energy. And they've got the rewards from that. Aston Villa haven't really been allowed to settle into that possession game in the first half. It's been slow, it's been laboured, they've given the ball away in dangerous areas, similar to what we saw against Tottenham in that kind of second half. And I think you have to give a lot of credit to West Ham. I think they've done their homework off the back of that performance. They've been as aggressive as I've seen them probably all season in terms of their starting positions and how they've looked to press Aston Villa, and they've got rewards from that. They've forced mistakes, and Mikel Antonio's come up with a really good goal, great assist from Soufal from this right hand side. So work to be done on his Aston Villa team in the second half, because they've not been at the races at all.
Yeah, all the talk about Ollie Watkins coming into this game, but it's a man who's hardly scored this season who's provided the difference. Mikel Antonio with a goal, his first since August, and West Ham United attempting to make it a Super Sunday after a super week of European football for them. At half-time, they are leading Aston Villa by 1-0. We'll have full live second half coverage on 5 Live Sports Extra and indeed on 5 Live, and we take you there now to bring you some reaction to that win for Chelsea in the FA Cup over Leicester City.
They won't own up to it. The last thing they wanted was extra time. When you're at the end of the season, when you're beginning to fail a little bit and lose the odd game, you don't need to be 10 men against a top team for 120 minutes, then go out. That actually can destroy you. Didn't happen today. They can walk away with their heads up, held up high.
Absolutely. Belter of a game. Chelsea 4, Leicester 2. Pat, Ali, thank you both very much indeed. So Chelsea are into the draw for the FA Cup semi-finals alongside Coventry and Manchester City, and that will be completed at Wembley Stadium by one of Manchester United or Liverpool. Their game kicks off at 3:30. We will keep you right up to date with that on 5 Live Sport, and then into 6:06 with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton, which gets underway at 5 o'clock today. In the Women's Super League, Chelsea's women's team remain top of the league. They weren't playing this afternoon. Second place Manchester City were. They won by 4-1 to join them on 40 points. Their goal difference is only 2 worse off than Emma Hayes' side. Other scores: Manchester United 2, Bristol City 0, Liverpool 3, West Ham 1, and approaching half-time, Tottenham 1, Leicester 0. Back to the men's game, the Premier League half-time, West Ham against Villa. Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, and it's set. West Ham 1, Aston Villa 0. Steve, good game, lively first half, and a superb header from Mikel Antonio for the goal. A teasing cross from Soufal, and what a brave diving header from Antonio. 10 yards out, which zipped past Emiliano Martinez. Aston Villa, they've had chances through Ollie Watkins and Morgan Rogers, but West Ham, they deserve their lead at the break, which is West Ham United 1, Aston Villa 0.
First trip of the day to Old Trafford shortly, then second half commentary here on 5 Live from the London Stadium. All after the news with Joe Critcher.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live. Large queues have formed outside some polling stations in Russia in an apparent show of protest during presidential elections in which Vladimir Putin is the only serious candidate. Opposition supporters are urging people to vote for anyone else or to spoil their ballots. There are also huge queues outside the Russian embassy in London. Our Russia editor Steve Rosenberg says although there's little doubt who will win, the election is still important.
Once this Putin victory is announced, the Kremlin will use that to claim that Vladimir Putin has a mandate from the people for his actions, for his policies, for his war in Ukraine, for everything he's doing, turning Russia into an increasingly militaristic society in conflict with the West.
The Transport Secretary Mark Harper has refused to comment on reports the government accepted a further donation of £5 million from a businessman accused of making racist comments about the MP Diane Abbott. Frank Hester insists his comments had nothing to do with gender or skin colour. Sir Ed Davey is urging Liberal Democrats to make this a once-in-a-generation election. In his speech at the party's spring conference in York, he focused on reforms to the NHS so people can see a GP, dentist or pharmacist. Councils in England wanting to introduce low-traffic neighbourhoods will have to hand out leaflets, run online surveys and hold in-person meetings. Under the new government guidance, they'll also be told they should introduce 20-mile-per-hour limits only in specific areas like outside schools. The Cockney Rebel frontman Steve Harley has died at the age of 73 from cancer. He was best known for the 70s hit Make Me Smile. He told the BBC how much he loved performing.
The Isle of Wight Festival, Glastonbury, European festivals, and 2,000 seaters indoors, they all sing it. I've had 50,000 people. They'll sing it to me. It's such a buzz. Why would I ever tire of that? It's always at the end of the set. I don't try and follow it. We do it and we walk off, and it's such a high.
Cockney Rebel Steve Harley speaking there.
No one knows what it's like to be in prison when you haven't done nothing wrong.
This is the untold story of Annette Hewins.
Arrested over the murder of a mother and her 2 young children.
I need to know why I was charged for a crime that I hadn't done.
A shocking miscarriage of justice.
There is no credible case against Annette Hewins. It is a disgrace.
Finding the truth really matters to me because Annette was my mum.
Annette, how do you feel to come out today? I want to be with my kids and my husband.
Wrongly accused. Listen on BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport with Steve Crossman
on 5 Live. Listen on BBC Sounds.
Well, what an absolute belter that was at Stamford Bridge. We'll have reaction across the course of the afternoon. Chelsea 4, Leicester City 2 in the FA Cup quarter-final. 3:30. The last of the quarter-finals gets underway. Manchester United against Liverpool. We've had a couple of great ties already. John Murray, no reason this shouldn't be the same.
No, absolutely right with these two involved. Great rivals as they are. 9,000 Liverpool fans just taking their seats to our right inside Old Trafford. And as far as the team news is concerned, big boost for Manchester United ahead of this, in that Rasmus Højlund, their top scorer, is fit to return to the team after missing the last 4 matches. And remember, he was in red-hot form before that injury. Aaron Wan-Bissaka's back as well. He's been out since January. However, Casemiro has an injury, so he's out, as is, as expected, Johnny Evans. So Manchester United, Onana in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Varane and Dalot, Menu and McTominay with Bruno Fernandes, and then that front three of Garnacho, Højlund and Rashford. And also for Manchester United, Mason Mount is named among the substitutes after 4 months out, and Harry Maguire is there on the bench as well in the England squad. He's been fit to train all week. He's on the bench. For Liverpool, 3 changes from Thursday night in the Europa League. So frontliners are back in the team in the shape of the captain, Van Dijk, McAllister and Diaz. On the bench today, Gakpo, Bradley and Clark, who was a doubt, but he's okay to be on the bench. And also for Liverpool, Gravenberch comes back as one of the substitutes. So Liverpool, Kelleher in goal, Gomez, Kwanzaa, Van Dijk and Robertson, Szoboszlai, Endo and McAllister, Salah, Nunez and Diaz. So, strong teams.
Absolutely. John Murray has an FA Cup finalist alongside him. Michael Brown, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Steve. You well?
Very good, thank you. Very good. This game is incredibly important to both of these club seasons.
It's so important. Obviously, Liverpool, I think, will be slightly more relaxed about the situation. Jurgen Klopp will be delighted, obviously, to start getting an improved squad. It's been a really good week for them. Second half against City, they were excellent. Obviously, a good win in Europe, getting players back. I was wondering what type of team, because he's been having to have to bring a few younger players in, but he's gone really strong. It's getting better. And for Man United, this is just everything, isn't it, Steve? You say, talking about saving the season. That's the quotes from Erik ten Hag. And sometimes I listen to him and watch some of his quotes that he doesn't always get right. There's been discussions about his team out of possession getting overrun. He reacts to that and says, we've got Kobe Mino, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes are going to all take the ball. We need to do better with the ball. Doesn't give McTominay a mention, so there's a bit of something sliding there for me. So at times he doesn't get that right. Under pressure, Manchester United have to win this game.
There will be some people out there, I'm absolutely sure, because we were talking about it with Julien Laurent earlier today, and he's certainly of this opinion, that in terms of saving seasons, it could be too late for Erik ten Hag to save his tenure, because if the new owners are thinking about who is the right man going forward, it's unlikely to turn on whether or not they win the FA Cup, is it?
I'm not sure. I think it will certainly help the situation, Steve, if they can win now continuous right throughout to the remainder of the fixtures. Can they get into that top 4? It's going to be a big ask, we know that. The home game here that we covered for 5 Live and the loss to Fulham was a really big dent into the season yet again. Inconsistencies around the squad, that's what keeps getting questioned. They've had a ton of injuries. We don't necessarily think he's going to be here going forward, but let's see. Football's does strange things to you. His team have to show reaction, whether it's going to be any manager. They have to show that they've done enough this season for me, and generally they've been too inconsistent.
But I think it's important, though, that he's got that front three, Garnacho, Højlund and Rashford together. And if other players are beginning to come back, and I think a big result yesterday was the match you were at, Michael, where Tottenham lost. You know, if Tottenham had won yesterday, that would have been Manchester United 9 points off 5th place. As we speak now, they're 6 points off 5th place. So, as ever, it's all going to depend on what happens on the pitch, what Manchester United look at like over the course of the next couple of months of the season.
And I don't know, John, what Jurgen Klopp's perfect finale looks like. I mean, obviously he would love to win everything, but having brought the league title back to Liverpool during his tenure for the first time in a long time, 1986 was the last time they did the double FA Cup and league title. That is far from beyond the realms of possibility this season.
Quite so. And the other thing as well is, if they stay in the FA Cup, that would be the last match. That would be the Saturday, May the 25th, I think it is. So what an occasion that would be. I mean, regardless, it's going to be an occasion, whether it's the last league match, which will be at Anfield, whether it's the Europa League final, but the latest possible date is the FA Cup final. And, you know, to bow out with that, and there's a lot of water to pass under the bridge before that. I mean, they've got to win at Old Trafford, basically, today. There might be Manchester City down the line as well in the FA Cup. So it's a tall order, but they feel like, you can tell, they feel like they're up to it.
And just one question on the players that or a player, Michael Brown, that we might see today. It was the one that had the biggest upward inflection from John Murray in the team news. Mason Mount back on the bench, who would love to make a late run for the squad for the Euros, clearly.
Yeah, I hope so. Do you know, obviously somebody who showed so much promise, come to Manchester United and you're thinking, here we go, he's going to be a real key personnel into Manchester United, improving, getting better, pushing towards the top of the league. It didn't work out like that. I think that the team members around him, the way the squad performed, he wasn't at his best, changed into a few different positions, and then just as he was getting frustration out of his system, gets that injury. So it's been a long wait for him. He'll be someone really ready to get going. So he needs to find a gap, he needs to get some minutes, and it'd be a great addition if he could push for that summer tournament. It's going to be a big ask though.
He was mentioned by Gareth Southgate, or rather Gareth Southgate was asked about him this week. But you know, when you think where he was, you know, an England starter really, when it was at the World Cup at the end of 2022, and here we are in the opening months of 2024.
Does that give him something, John? Do you know, when you speak to Gareth Southgate, you see in and around it, does he look back and see that, or does he move on quite quickly?
I just think that there are others now, as is the footballing way, who've stepped into the breach, haven't they, in terms of attacking, forward-minded midfield players. You know, there are a glut of them, and it feels like he's a long way off it. And of course, first of all, he's got to play and prove his fitness.
John, Michael, thank you both very much for the time being. There is a championship game today which is just getting underway, and in fact it screams Michael Brown. Leeds United versus Millwall is just underway at Ellen Road. Chris Coles.
Yeah, two sides who don't like each other much. We're about a minute in. Leeds 0, Millwall 0. Leeds have top spot in the championship firmly in their sights. Victory by 2 goals would take them there, dislodging Leicester. For the first time since September, 11 wins in Leeds' last 12, and defeated at home all season. Ellen Road anticipating 3 points, but Millwall back to their resilient best under the returning Neil Harris, unbeaten in his 4 matches, 3 of them wins, the sort of form they'll need to maintain to pull clear of trouble. Early stages, Leeds 0, Millwall 0.
Right, lots to keep you up to date with then over the course of the next couple of hours on 5 Live. And as I say, 6:06 at the slightly different time of 5 p.m. today with Robbie Savage and Chris Sutton. Lots to happen between now and then, though, not least the second half in the Premier League of West Ham versus Aston Villa with your commentary team, Danny Gabbidon and Chris Wise.
Steve, thank you very much. Welcome to East London. I'm just hoping that we have as much second half drama in this part of the capital as we had in West London in our FA Cup quarter-final between Chelsea and Leicester. It's a game that West Ham are leading by 1-0. The goal by Mikel Antonio just before the half hour. Brilliant ball from Vladimir Sofal from the right-hand side. Antonio's stooping, diving header into the bottom corner. He'd waited a long time for that goal, Mikel Antonio. It's his first since August for West Ham United. And Danny Gabbidon, as much as West Ham deserve it, you were saying to me in the first half when we were over on 5 Live Sports Extra that you were a bit disappointed with the way that Aston Villa have been so far.
Yeah, I was expecting a little bit more from them, but they just never really got themselves going in that first half. I think West Ham done a tremendous job, more so out of possession in that first half, of pressing and harrying Aston Villa in good areas of the pitch, winning the ball back on a number of occasions. That's eventually where the goal comes from. The momentum was building up, and it wasn't from what West Ham were doing with the ball, it was more what they were doing without the ball. Pressing high, waiting for that ball to go into midfield, winning the ball back, and then getting the attacking players on the ball quickly, and great delivery from Sofo from this right hand side. They got numbers attacking the box. Antonio gets the right side of Conser. Conser's caught the wrong side, and it's a good header low into that far corner. Villa have they've not got going at all. They've been slow in possession. They've not been able to counter-attack. They've not been able to get the likes of Watkins, Bailey in good areas of the pitch. They've lacked width at times, particularly on the left-hand side. Morgan Rogers playing very central. They've not been able to get him on the ball, so interesting to see what adjustments he makes in this second half.
Well, the adjustments he's made at half-time is a double change, so don't be too surprised by the fact that Unai Emery is mixing things up. He's taken Clement Longley and John Duran off. John Duran, who was making his first Premier League start for Aston Villa today, and on in their place are Matty Cash and Moussa Diaby. So we'll run through the two teams for you in full in a moment as we get underway in this second half, with West Ham in their home strip of the claret and blue going from right to left, and Villa in their changed away shirts of white with the sky blue shorts and the white socks. They are going from left to right towards their visiting supporters, over towards our right hand side in the Sir Trevor Brookings stand. And Danny Gabbidon, an opportunity for West Ham United at the moment, as it stands anyway. They're only a point behind Manchester United in seventh, with them pushing United in sixth.
Well, still work to do though this second half for West Ham. As good as they were in that first half, they have to expect a reaction from this Aston Villa team, who were surprisingly poor in that first half. And just looking at Villa to see, I know they've made changes in personnel, but whether they've actually changed the shape, not sure they have.
Here comes Diaby, the substitute for Villa, with Bailey onto the right hand side. Cash's cross, well blocked and cleared away by Alvarez, who takes a touch, flicks it up and then smashes it downfield, and the ball is going to be kept in play by Antonio. I thought it was going to bounce out, but he's nodded it down to Kudus, and he's got it back off Paquetá, but good tracking back from Moussa Diaby. So let me give you the two teams then, as Villa have possession inside their own half. For West Ham, Areola in goal, Sofal, Mavropanos, Zuma and Emerson, then Alvarez and Souček, Bowen, Paquetá, Kudus and Antonio the goal scorer. And for Villa now, Martinez in goal, Cash, Konza, Torres, Moreno, Bailey, Douglas Luiz, Tielemans and Diaby, with Rogers just in behind Ollie Watkins. But I'll let you, Danny Gabbidon, just have a little look to see if Villa have indeed changed their shape, or whether Moussa Diaby is just going to play alongside Watkins.
Yeah, it looks like a straight swap in that respect. Morgan Rogers still out on our left hand side, still looks like a 4-4-2.
Sun peeking through the clouds for the first time this afternoon inside London Stadium, and there's a bit of sunshine on the pitch as the cross from the right hand side goes behind for a West Ham United corner, and there might have been a bit of a problem for the player who was trying to close it down over there. I can't quite spot who that is, Danny, in the sunshine. Can you see? It's Sofal who's offering some attention, at least, the West Ham player. I think it might have been Matty Cash, and I think he's got it in the unmentionables there.
It might be Morgan Rogers.
Oh, it is
actually.
Morgan Rogers, yeah.
Yeah, in the old twig and berries. Unfortunately, never nice. I've had that happen a few times to myself, and it's not a lot you can do about that.
Do you know, I think that's the first time I've ever heard that turn of phrase, at least on 5 Live. But perfectly put, I think we all know what you mean.
He's up.
He's okay. Yeah, everything is intact. He is making his way back into the penalty area at the moment, the Aston Villa youngster, making his first Premier League start today, Morgan Rogers. For Villa, having signed from Middlesbrough in January, but it's a West Ham corner from the right. Bowen with it into the near post and all the way in. Was there even a touch on its way through? Antonio saying it's my goal. He's the one who's peeled away celebrating. If it is, he's got 2 this afternoon. But Villa somehow allowing that corner from the right to come all the way across their goal line and buried on the opposite side of the net. West Ham 2, Aston Villa 0.
Yeah, does he get a touch? Does it go straight in? I don't know. Antonio's certainly claiming it. But he's the man who's got the job of just planting himself in front of Martinez and making it difficult for the keeper to get anything on the ball. We saw one in the first half which he just about dealt with, Martinez. And he's made it awkward again, but this time he can't get anything on it. It's whipped into a really good area. Nobody deals with it on that near post area from a Villa perspective. Antonio, well, I don't think it's a foul. I don't know what you think, Chris. I don't think there's a massive amount of contact there.
It's Antonio's goal,
yeah.
That we can clarify. He's sort of stood in front of Emi Martinez, isn't he? And as that ball comes in, he steps away from the Aston Villa goalkeeper, and it sort of bounces in off Antonio's chest from short range. There's lots of discussions at the moment taking place between many players and the referee Jared Gillett this afternoon. And Emi Martinez is waiting to find out. He's put the ball down as if he's going to get the free kick here. As we welcome listeners from the World Service with West Ham 1-0 up against Aston Villa. They think they're 2-0 up, but Danny, what they're checking for on VAR here is a possible handball by Mikel Antonio.
I think this might hit the arm of Antonio as that ball comes in. He's outstretched Martinez and he just turns that kind of left arm towards the ball. Antonio, difficult, so many bodies in the way, difficult to see. This will be difficult for VAR to see as well.
It's been chalked off, that goal. It is a handball against Mikel Antonio, who has a perplexed look on his face as he trots towards Jared Gillett, the referee, to ask for the assessment of why it has been disallowed. Handball is the official decision, but it's very, very tricky to see that, Danny Gabbidon. Very, very difficult for the VAR to pick up on what part of Antonio's body that touched.
Yeah, so many bodies in the way, but I do think it is the right call. Antonio, I think he just maybe thinks he's going to get hit by Martinez, the goalie. He just turns that left arm towards the ball.
Now Villa down the other end. Bailey with the cross towards the far post. It's bounced up off the chest of Moreno and it's hooked in and it's hit so foul and it's gone behind for a Villa corner. And having had that reprieve, Unai Emery's team immediately getting themselves on the front foot. 6 minutes into the second half, it is West Ham 1, Aston Villa 0.
Yeah, well, maybe that stroke of luck can spring this Aston Villa team into life. Definitely got away with one there. I do think it does brush that left arm of Antonio. Wicked delivery into really good area from Jared Bowen. Really difficult one to deal with.
And no James Ward-Prowse in the starting 11 for West Ham today. He is on the bench, rested by David Moyes, one would presume. So Villa corner going from left to right in this second half. 6 minutes have evaporated so far. And it is a corner which is sent in by Bailey. It's a curling in-swinging one. Mavropanos was at the near post. He's headed it away. There was an infringement in there, a foul and a free kick to West Ham.
Well, it was actually Ward-Prowse-like delivery, wasn't it, from Jared Bowen? Really difficult one to deal with on that near post for Aston Villa, and get a stroke of luck with a goal being chalked off, but they need to get themselves going here. Start of this second half, they've easily found themselves 2-0 down and really difficult to come back into the game then.
12 points between these two in the Premier League table right now. West Ham in 7th, 43 from their 28 games. Aston Villa 4th, 55 from their 28, but that win for Fulham yesterday against Tottenham Hotspur, especially off the back of Spurs' demolition job on Villa last week, has really given Aston Villa the opportunity today to put a gap between themselves and Ange Postecoglou's team again this afternoon. It's 2 points right now between them and Spurs in 5th.
Yeah, and not surprised to see changes at half-time from Unai Emery. That's how poor Villa were in the first half. No surprise to see Longley come off. They did struggle with the build-up in the first half, and I think some of that to do with a left footer kind of playing on the right side. He didn't look comfortable Longley on that right hand side, so no surprise to see Cash come on and Konsa revert back to that central defensive position.
There's the Polish international Matty Cash for Aston Villa with a square pass across the edge of West Ham's penalty area. On it goes to that left hand side for Moreno. It's a long way forward now. His cross has come off so foul and it's behind for another Villa corner, and suddenly there is a bit of noise coming from the away end. They'll be happy, those Villa supporters, that this second half has been a bit more progressive.
You actually see in Aston Villa now, that's 2 occasions being able to counter-attack, and Matty Cash heavily involved. No surprise, we know he likes to get forward. Konsa playing as a right back in the first half. We didn't see that at all from him in the first half, so Cash coming on, just bringing some much needed thrust to this Aston Villa team.
So Villa corner from the far left hand side. Tielemans right-footed in-swinger off the head of Mavropanos, up into the air, caught by Areola. Great catch from the West Ham goalkeeper. He was fouled as well as he was coming back down, and he was coming down from a distance. He might have landed awkwardly on his back there. Areola, who is still down at the moment, the West Ham keeper. I'm not too sure if he's going to need treatment. It is a free kick to the Hammers regardless.
Yeah, I think there was a foul, but you're desperate to see your goalkeeper come and claim them. It's an awkward one. The ball's looping up. It's inside the 6-yard box, and as a central defender there, you really want your keeper to come and claim it. You don't have to come and try to head that. Does really well, Areola.
He actually played under the Aston Villa manager Unai Emery together at Paris Saint-Germain in 2016 to 2018. He was his regular number 1 in Ligue 1. As the ball rolls all the way back to the edge of Aston Villa's penalty area, and Cash gives it back to Emi Martinez, who didn't cover himself in a great deal of glory with that disallowed goal from Mikel Antonio a moment ago. He's made a couple of sharp stops in the first half, but that wasn't his finest.
He probably needs a little bit of help, though. He probably needs a player to actually sit on Antonio, because he's basically just putting himself in front of the goalkeeper, and nobody's really helping. Martinez it's almost up to him to try and get Antonio out of the way.
Magical feat of Mohamed Kudus. We saw that several times, didn't we, on Thursday night here against Freiburg, winning West Ham a free kick, a little chop and a change of direction, and he's sent tumbling to the ground by Yuri Tielemans. Very apt that we're seeing Yuri Tielemans today, given Chelsea against Leicester in the FA Cup earlier on here on 5 Live, and he of course was the man who scored the winner back in 2021 in the FA Cup final between those two, the now Villa midfielder. As Villa come forward, but Watkins had peeled off to the left hand side, the pass wasn't quite able to find him, and now West Ham turn play over and have it on this near left side with Kudus just inside their own half, and back with Emerson, who is in the West Ham team today, having missed the last couple of games through injury. Souček chipping one up to that far right hand side, on down the line from Sofau to the informed Jared Bowen, who now wants to get at the Villa defence. He's got round his man Bowen, he's got to the byline, his pullback is closed down, breezed away from Pau Torres like he wasn't there at all, and in the end it needed a bit of help from Douglas Luiz to put it behind for a corner.
Yeah, thankful to Douglas Luiz getting back, saving the blushes of Pau Torres, because as you say, Chris, just drifted past him like he wasn't there. Not really an area you want to be as a central defender, up against tricky Jared Bowen, kind of just inside the 18-yard box, and maybe a bit reluctant to dangle a leg out, but he just drifts by him.
So it's a corner for West Ham. It's from that same side, the right, to where they had that disallowed goal a moment ago. Similar area as well. That one is pretty much off the line from Ezri Konsa. It was actually a very decent header from the Villa centre-half, because he sent that backwards, because that was the only place he could really put it, with the back of his head across goal, and just hoped it went away from danger. It did, and eventually it's gone out of play for a Villa throw on this near right side. West Ham 1, Villa 0, 11 minutes into the second half.
A really good delivery again from Bowen. That ball is coming in on the money with pace, kind of low trajectory as well, so it's difficult for the goalkeeper to come and claim. Good defensive header from Konsa.
Actually had a trial with Aston Villa as a youngster, Jared Bowen. Didn't work out for him, obviously, ended up signing with Hereford in the end. Here are Villa down the other end, ball on the edge of the area with Morgan Rogers making his Premier League debut for Villa today, as they play intricate passes to get it to this right side for Bailey. Now Diaby back to the other substitute, Matty Cash. Both of those two on for Villa at half-time. One goal scored by Mikel Antonio just before the half hour for West Ham United. Vladimir Sofau got the assist with the cross from the right. Villa with it, far left-hand side at the moment, as again Rogers comes over short to retrieve it. Stands Souček up, gives it to Douglas Luiz, who's got his back to the penalty area, 10 yards outside West Ham's box, and Villa have had to go a little further back here as they patiently try and pick the gap. Danny Gabbidon.
Yeah, patient possession, but it does look already better from Aston Villa. We have seen 2 or 3 kind of counter-attacks from them, which haven't really come to anything, but they do look a bit more energised with the personnel that's come on.
And Diaby looks fresh already, doesn't he? You can see that when he gets the ball, he looks very willing to try and get at West Ham's defence. But at the moment, there are lots of claret and blue shirts that are sitting deep behind the ball, protecting what they have, West Ham United, this 1-goal lead, and Villa are patiently trying to pick that West Ham defence apart. They have won their last 3 Premier League away games, Aston Villa, against Sheffield United, Fulham and Luton. And they've also just won themselves a free kick here, because Tielemans has been sent sprawling to the ground by Alvarez.
Yeah, what he had in the first half was you had Moreno at left back, you had Morgan Rogers playing very central, so he didn't really have an option to stick the ball wide. They weren't really able to stretch West Ham on that side, and on the opposite side you had Bailey holding the width more, and you had Konsa playing right back, who's never going to overlap and kind of get around Leon Bailey, so they weren't really able to lay a glove on West Ham in this first half. But second half does look better.
Moving up towards the hour, here is Douglas Luiz. Nice change of direction from him, gives it to Torres, who is 40 yards from goal, now 30 yards from goal as he shoots left-footed. Came off Souček, it's dropped to his international teammate Sofau, and his clearance in that right-back area has ricocheted off Morgan Rogers and gone out for a West Ham United throw, leading Aston Villa by 1-0. The last time West Ham beat Villa was actually in the Midlands, back in August of 2022. Pablo Fornal's got the only goal of the game. That was 1-0 there as well, back when Steven Gerrard was in charge of Villa. But obviously things have been on an upward trajectory ever since Unai Emery arrived at the club to replace the former Liverpool midfielder.
Done a superb job, he really has. I don't know how many people would have thought Aston Villa would be in this position at the start of the season, but do have a tough run in, a lot of difficult games to come for Aston Villa, but have been absolutely superb up until this point. It's just about trying to finish the season strong, keep that momentum going.
Yeah, the next 4 for Villa. Remember, there's no games next weekend because of the international break. Villa are at Newcastle on the 30th, and then Tottenham. These are West Ham's fixtures. Newcastle away, Spurs at home, Wolves away, and they've got Leverkusen, of course, then West Ham. And for Villa, Wolves at home. That's the next game. It's a live one on 5 Live on the 30th. And then Manchester City away. That's an interesting one for Villa. Brentford at home, and of course they've got Lille in the Europa Conference League in their quarter-final game as Bailey takes it down this right-hand side. His cross is closed down by Emerson, behind for a Villa corner, of which they've won plenty in this second half now.
It's been better, it has. Emery, the personnel he's brought on, he's got the response that he was looking for, I'm sure. Not created anything yet, but
worked this one well though. Diaby dinking it in from the byline. Good West Ham defending to head it away, but Villa trying to keep the pressure on. Moreno has scuttled back 10 yards to get the ball. He's then lifted it in, left-footed, deep towards the back post on this right-hand side. Villa in possession with Bailey, squared to the edge of the penalty area for Tielemans, who's about 20 yards outside the box at the moment. Pushed out to the left-hand side for Moreno. His left-footed cross off Zuma's head, but it's only gone up into the air and then away downfield by Lucas Paquetá. And Antonio's going to try and run onto this here. Antonio and are coming together with Cash. Both were very interested only in the ball. No free kick for either. Villa retrieve the ball back again on the halfway line as they try and get this attack started. Douglas Luiz lifting it out to that left-hand side. Watkins is now inside the West Ham penalty area. Watkins to the edge of the box, so Douglas Luiz on for Diaby, and here's Bailey, and it's deflected behind. Great defending from Emerson, launched his body in the way of that shot, and behind for a Villa corner.
Outstanding defending. Great play from Villa. They work the ball inside the 18 box really well, and that ball's laid across to Bailey, and you expect him to open that left foot out and try and play it low. Tariola's right, he tries to reverse it and go the other side, the near side, and I think that's why Emerson's able to fly across and get a block on it. Brilliant defending.
So a Villa corner then from the right-hand side. 62 minutes into the second half. West Ham 1, Villa 0. Villa going from left to right in this second period. It's another short one from Emery's team to Douglas Luiz, and now towards Bailey again into the penalty area. Diaby, lots of bodies round him. Taken off Moussa Diaby by Lucas Paquetá. Kudus brings it away, and it's out of play for a West Ham throw. So West Ham 1, Villa 0. Let's see what's happening in the early stages at Ellen Road between Leeds and Millwall. Chris Coles.
20 dominant Leeds minutes have elapsed, creating plenty of chances. Patrick Bamford lifting a lob onto the roof of the net. Willie Gnonto, a deflected shot just wide. It's all Leeds, but no breakthrough yet. Leeds 0, Millwall 0.
Leeds with the opportunity to go at least level on points with Leicester City if they beat Millwall this afternoon at the top of the Championship. As Chris was saying earlier, 2 goals will give them a clear lead. And Millwall, who begin the afternoon 4 points behind the above the bottom 3 in the Championship. A couple more Villa changes here. I can see Zaniolo's just come on. Who else? I'm just asking you to do a bit of homework for me as I was listening to Chris there. Danny, what else have we got in terms of those changes?
Well, there's definitely 2. Who's the other one? I'm sleeping myself there.
I'll get confirmation of that in just a moment, but that is 4 changes now from Aston Villa.
Yeah, Luca Dean is on, I think. Moreno was the other man to come off.
Yep, spot on. So Luca Digne and Nicolo Zaniolo, the 2 on. Rodgers and Moreno taken off by Unai Emery. Does that interest you that he's making the changes there? Because it's come off the back of 10 minutes of not necessarily sustained Villa pressure, but when they're looking more lively in the game.
They were looking better. They do look better as a team. They're starting to find more spaces now. Look much more of a threat, much more energised. So maybe just trying to add a bit more to that.
So in the sunshine that's casting about a 20% portion of the pitch over on the right-hand side inside West Ham Stadium. West Ham in possession, but they quickly lose it. Villa have got a throw halfway inside their own half. So West Ham 1, Aston Villa 0. Remember, from 3:30, Manchester United against Liverpool in the final of those FA Cup quarter-finals. We'll keep you across everything that's happening. John Murray and Michael Brown are at Old Trafford, and then 6:06 to come from 5 o'clock tonight with Chris and Robbie. 08085 999 693 if you want to write that down to start thinking about what your points might want to be. Maybe you want to discuss what's happened in the FA Cup this weekend. We know now that Coventry City, brilliant win yesterday against Wolves, live on 5 Live in the first of the 4 quarter-finals. They are there, Coventry. They're going to Wembley. So are Manchester City. So are Chelsea, after seeing off Leicester City late on earlier today at Stamford Bridge. But will it be Erik ten Hag or Jurgen Klopp's teams that will make up the quartet? And we'll have that semi-final draw later for you here on 5 Live as well. Here's Diaby for Villa, 10 yards outside the box, out to that left-hand side. Zaniolo's lurking on the edge of the box. The ball didn't come to him, it's come into the box instead. It's dropped for Bailey, who has skewed the effort a long way over the top of the bar. Leon Bailey, bobbly ball, didn't get hold of it well at all.
Difficult chance for him, just cuts across the strike. Maybe should have been looking to kind of bend that with the inside of the foot, which we know he's very good at, into that far corner. But you can just feel momentum just starting to turn now in Villa's favour. They're finding spaces more now. They're a bit more assured with the possession, working their way up the field better than what we saw in the first half. David Moyes just responding here with a substitute of his own.
Yeah, and interesting one as well, because he is taking his goal scorer off, Mikel Antonio. And it's going to be Ben Johnson who's coming on in his place, who did score in the 4-1 win at Villa Park for West Ham United back in 2021, and has actually played in attacking roles in recent weeks, even though we're far more used to seeing Ben Johnson in the fullback positions for West Ham United. So with Antonio coming off and Johnson coming on, I just wonder where he's going to play here.
He can play a number of positions, seen him play in central midfield as well. And Johnson looks like he's just trotting across that kind of right-hand side, sorry. Right wing possibly.
I wonder if Johnson's going to play on the right, and then maybe Jared Bowen, who had been playing out on that right-hand side, is now going to play a bit more centrally. That's how it seems it's going to be. Villa retrieve possession again. Watkins with a heavy touch was leaning backwards, difficult for him to control it. So far brings it away for West Ham. 1-0 up here against Aston Villa. Off the back of 2 brilliant results for these 2 teams in Europe during the week. The 5 goals West Ham scored against Freiburg, the 4 for Villa against Ajax in the Europa League, in the Europa Conference League respectively. Mohamed Kudus, who took his goal brilliantly, got 2 of them, but one of them was Ryan Giggs. Pertinent really this FA Cup weekend, because it was like Ryan Giggs, wasn't it, all those years ago? Manchester United against Arsenal, when he took on half of the Gunners team to score. Difference, I guess, from Kudus' goal to Giggs' goal is that Kudus basically went right through the middle of the park here on Thursday night.
Yeah, didn't take the shirt off either after.
He didn't.
Swinging it around his head with that hairy chest of his.
I was going to say, I don't know if Kudus would have the chest hair to back it up, to be honest.
So.
One of the iconic scenes of the FA Cup of years gone by. We're at the midway point in the second half here on 5 Live and on Well Service. And it is still West Ham 1, Villa 0, but Villa are offering more in the second half. Cross on the left-hand side, awkward for Areola, clawed at it really on the stretch, got his hands to it. It's come out to the right side instead for Bailey, who's lifted it back in left-footed, headed away by Sofal for West Ham United, picked up again by Douglas Luiz, who's 20 yards outside West Ham's box in towards the feet of Zaniolo. Bounce wasn't kind, and then the clearance from Mavropanos has hit Zaniolo, looped up into the air and caught by the West Ham goalkeeper Areola.
Yeah, starting to get control of this game now, Aston Villa. Just looking at West Ham, and maybe slightly the energy levels have dropped from them from what we saw in the first half, where they were so good at possession. But Villa now just starting to dominate possession and find a lot more space on the pitch to get their attacking players into. Here's Bailey.
And now comes a chance possibly for Villa, with Bailey on the edge of West Ham's penalty area. Claret and blue shirts getting back behind the ball. Villa still have it. Cash joining in. Cash with the drop of the shoulder and the pullback and the block, and he takes it behind from Emerson, who's there again for West Ham United with a sliding challenge for an Aston Villa corner.
Chance. Matty Cash there, just looking to cut the ball back to someone across the 6-yard box. I thought maybe he could have just, I know it's a tie angle, but maybe just fire that towards the goalkeeper Areola. It's Emerson with a really important block, I think, again in the end. Just feel that momentum swinging now though, Chris, in Villa's favour.
Douglas Luiz with the corner from the right hand side. It's another short one from Villa, which has been the preferred option in the last few minutes, to Bailey. Bailey squared it to the edge of the penalty area. Tielemans pushed away by Areola. Decent save that. Diaby's got it again. He shoots from the edge of the area. Again, there's a West Ham body in the way. How many big blocks are David Moyes' team having to put in now?
Yeah, but David Moyes, he won't like that. Short corner. There's about 4 passes before that gets to the 18-yard box, and West Ham really slow to get up, and it's Tielemans taking the strike on. He's very, very good technically, shooting from distance. It cannons off a West Ham body in the end, but a little bit laboured there, West Ham. Energy levels just possibly dropped a little bit from what we saw in the first half.
Villa enjoying more of the ball and now looking far more of a threat than they did in that first 45 minutes, but they are still 1-0 down, Unai Emery's team, as they try and offer that gap between them and Spurs to make it a little bigger, but West Ham have got it back, and that's where their threats are coming now for West Ham. It's on the counter-attack. Kudos leading the charge. He's collected it on the halfway line. He's already up to the edge of the box. Has he had his heels tripped? He has. It is not just a West Ham free kick. It's going to be a yellow card for Yuri Tielemans as well, who had a swipe at Mohamed Kudus' heels.
Yeah, and he was the man who was sloppy in possession initially as well, giving the ball away and just trying to chase Mohamed Kudus, which is a difficult task. He just cuts across him there, and he just trips his legs just before the edge of the 18-yard box. Really difficult man to stop in full flow, Mohamed Kudus.
And normally we'd be saying, wouldn't we, at this juncture, that it's James Ward-Prowse territory. They're the words you normally have to utter, but there is no James Ward-Prowse on the pitch at the moment for West Ham United, so the responsibility will fall somewhere else. Paquetá is around the ball. Emerson is there as well. It looks like Lucas Paquetá fancies this. It's about 7 yards outside Aston Villa's penalty area. It's ever so slightly left of centre. There is a 5-man Villa wall, which has possibly now been reduced to 4. Emerson is there over this free kick as well, but Lucas Paquetá, with his stance at the moment, the jet black hair that's flopped down over his forehead, rubs his face, has a little assessment of the situation, the Brazilian. Is there some magic coming from Paquetá's left boot here? Paquetá got it over the wall, and Martinez makes the save. Possibly should have held on to it because it wasn't the most powerful. It is behind for a corner.
Yeah, he looked disappointed after making the save, didn't he, that he didn't hold on to it. Decent effort. Paquetá gets it up over the wall, doesn't quite find that far corner. Martinez diving to his right. Comfortable save in the end.
Making his 50th Premier League appearance for West Ham United today, Lucas Paquetá. Obviously many will wonder whether he will make too many more, considering there will be some interested clubs in the summer. West Ham corner, Emerson with it, Mavropanos left, it's dropped to Kudus, hit it on the half volley, hit it over the top of the crossbar, goal kick. It is still West Ham 1, Villa 0. Let's get the feel of the early stages at Old Trafford in that FA Cup quarter-final. Manchester United-Liverpool, John Murray.
Well, we're just underway here at Old Trafford on what is a bright spring-like afternoon. Historically, the country's 2 most successful clubs locking horns for what is the last place in the semi-finals of the FA Cup this season. There's already been a chance. Michael Brown's alongside me for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, who seems to have started at left back with Dalot at right back.
Yeah, he's caught a few out with that situation. Obviously, whether that's to just look after the threat of Mo Salah, but Kobbie Mainoo excellent in the middle of the pitch, driving forward as the ball gets put across the face. Wan-Bissaka leaves and gets right into the penalty area, outstretched. Just couldn't get enough contact into the goalkeeper. Interesting start. What a huge game we've got ahead.
We have Manchester United 0, Liverpool 0, 2 minutes on the clock.
Cheers, John. Any goals there, of course, any action, we'll bring it to you first here on 5 Live. There is highlights of all the FA Cup games tonight from 10:55 on BBC One. Match of the day 2 before that, with Mark Chapman from 10:30, wrapping up what's happened here today at London Stadium, and the Women's Football Show as well later tonight, 11:35. All of that on BBC One, so if you enjoy your football, you can settle in for several hours of top quality coverage tonight on BBC One, as the ball is unable to be kept in play by Emerson, the left back for West Ham, and Villa going from left to right have a throw midway inside West Ham's half on the right, which Cash is going to take. He's launched one into the box. It almost came for Watkins. Diving header by Zuma to hook it away. Zaniolo then sends it over his head out to that left-hand side for Digne, who takes a touch, tees it back for Torres, and back to Konza in Villa's back line. Here is Tielemans. We're in the 74th minute. West Ham with a 1-goal advantage, but it feels more and more slender as this game goes on. Bailey to Watkins on the edge of the box, a nudge layoff to Diaby, who puts his foot on the ball, then accelerates away, then pushes a ball in right-footed, is cleared away as far as Douglas Luiz, right on the edge of West Ham's penalty area. Digne is hung out to the left-hand side. He's got the ball now, the former Everton man, and back with Torres again, and now Douglas Luiz dinked up to that far post for Cash, and the touch has come off Edson Alvarez. It's behind for a Villa corner. Danny Gabbidon.
They're doing a good job, Aston Villa, now of recycling possession. They're moving the ball left, right, certainly moving the ball a lot quicker, getting players in better areas of the pitch this second half without creating any clear-cut chances up until this point, but certainly know they're in a game now. West Ham having to defend.
Villa corner in, swinging from Bailey, punched away by Areola to the edge of his penalty area. Tielemans sends it backwards for Cash, hooks it out to the right side for Bailey, who took the corner initially, and he's wriggled away from Kudus. Bailey sets himself, low ball in, off Areola, not away yet, and then blocked on the line. I think Souček might have got back there. Areola was beaten, but somehow they survived West Ham United, and maybe Areola did get a touch on that, the keeper.
Yeah, I think he did. He was constant with the strike. Great wing play from Bailey initially.
Now West Ham up the other end with Johnson. Game opening up now. West Ham 1, Villa 0. We're in the final 15 minutes. Here is Ben Johnson, the substitute. Souček, 20 yards outside Villa's penalty area. Emerson out to Paquetá on this left-hand side. On goes Emerson on the overlap. There aren't too many options in the middle at the moment for Emerson. He squared it to the edge of the box. Kudus tries to chip it in. It's blocked. Villa get it back. So let's head to Ellen Road, because there's been a goal between Leeds and Millwall. Chris Coles.
And it's a goal for Leeds United in front, deservedly so. Wilfred Gnonto, delightful strike from the edge of the penalty area, running from right to left, a left foot arrow into the top corner, and Leeds lead Millwall by a 0-0, 10 minutes to play until half-time.
So that means Leeds are level on points now with Leicester at the top of the Championship table. It's only goal difference keeping them apart, but one more goal for Leeds in that game, and they will be the Championship leaders. Of course, Leicester not in league action this weekend because they had that FA Cup quarter-final earlier this afternoon at Stamford Bridge, which they lost to Chelsea. Konza's down at the moment, the Villa centre-half needing some treatment. So it gives me a chance to ask the former Welsh international Danny Gabbidon what Aston Villa need to do in these final 14 minutes to take something from this game.
Well, they just need to keep continuing what they're doing, keep applying that pressure, keep moving the ball quickly. It looks like West Ham have kind of reverted to type a little bit more in the second half, where they sat a little bit deeper, not probably pressing with the same intensity, and Aston Villa are starting to take full advantage of that. Two good saves from Areola there initially to block the cross that came in from Bailey on the right hand side, then he's up quickly, and a smart save from the shot from Ezri Konsa.
Have not lost consecutive Premier League games, Aston Villa, all season, as they continue their push for a appearance in the Champions League. They haven't played in the top level of continental football, Aston Villa, since the season after they won the European Cup. So back in 1982-83 when they got to the quarter-finals. Of course, this year they are in the quarter-finals of the UEFA Europa Conference League, as are West Ham United of the Europa League. But West Ham, who this season have tended to struggle on Sundays after they've played in Europe, they have dropped points in 5 of their 7 league games that have followed European matches, but they are the ones still with that lead from Antonio's goal just before the half-hour mark in the first half. A diving header after Sofal's cross from the right-hand side, which was a peach. But Villa, with a bit of verve, come forward again with Cash, who accelerates away from one, gets to the byline, lifts it into the penalty area and off the chest of Johnson, and diving to his right-hand side, Areola, to make sure that ball was not going to bounce in. Back to Old Trafford we go. John Murray.
7 minutes played now. Manchester United 0, Liverpool 0, but a big early save from the Liverpool goalkeeper Quiveen Kelleher to keep out a low whipped shot from Marcus Rashford from just outside the penalty area. That, Michael Brown, was bag on target for the bottom corner.
Yeah, it was great effort. Garnacho dangerous down the right hand side, put the ball across. Rashford coming in off that left hand side, connects really well. Kelleher down to that left hand side, strong hand to it, but really an exciting start in this game, and it was a big chance.
Yeah, and at the other end, Szoboszlai with a shot that was straight at the goalkeeper from the edge of the area. But it's a vibrant atmosphere inside the ground with 9,000 Liverpool fans. 0-0 here at Old Trafford.
Cheers, John. 62,500 watching this one at London Stadium. Here come Villa, they're in the box. The pullback from Diaby, and prodded in by Zaniolo. And Aston Villa have an equaliser. Great finish from Nicolo Zaniolo. Only his second Premier League goal for Villa, but he arrived on the scene at the perfect moment and in front of those visiting Villa fans. It is the Italian, and it is West Ham 1, Aston Villa 1.
Yeah, he just had the feeling that it's been coming without Aston Villa creating that many clear-cut chances. But it's definitely been a momentum shift this second half. Unai Emery with the personnel changes. West Ham's energy levels have dropped, and this is a brilliant Aston Villa goal. Starts with the goalkeeper, Emi Martinez. He rolls it out short to Tielemans. He plays a beautiful ball in behind. Diaby making the run in between Emerson and Mavropanos, I think it is. He just starts to the byline, he cuts it back across the 6-yard box, and he times his run, Zaniolo, to perfection, gets there first, and he just prods that left foot at it, gets it past Ariola, and Unai Emery's away down the touchline, absolutely delighted. Aston Villa back in it.
Yeah, he's having to restrain himself slightly, isn't he? Unai Emery nearly went into full Jose Mourinho mode there, as Digne heads the ball back to his goalkeeper. Well, what a fascinating final 10 minutes to come then in East London. West Ham 1, Aston Villa 1. The goal from Nicolo Zaniolo, who Aston Villa fans will argue they haven't seen the best of him. We know what a talent he is. Yeah. He's on loan from Galatasaray. He hasn't had too many opportunities, but he seized his moment here.
He certainly did. Timed his run to perfection, but we didn't see this from Aston Villa in the first half. That kind of build-up, where they're able to go back to front that quickly. A little bit of it was down to West Ham being caught a little bit out of shape as well. The ball from Tielemans to find the run at Diaby, that was the pass that really opened West Ham up, and then Diaby able to show the composure, the execution on the ball back across the 6-yard box, the picker an Aston Villa player out, Zaniolo timing his run, and it's a really composed finish.
Look at Unai Emery now, it's like somebody's put 50p in him. He is alert and he is active on that touchline, clapping, applauding, running around in his technical area. Here come his team again, Watkins on the left side, his cross has come off Mavropanos. It is going to be a corner. I was wondering whether the last touch had come off Watkins, it hasn't. It's a Villa corner, and they now look threatening.
Yeah, we just never saw that type of counter-attack from Villa in the first half. Everything was slow. West Ham did a good job of stopping Villa playing out from the back. Did a good job of stopping that counter-attack, but just look a little bit leggy now, West Ham, and Villa have got themselves back in it.
Straight after this corner, we're heading to Old Trafford as the ball is teed up to the edge of the area. Lost, and Kudus brings it away, and it might be a one-on-one for West Ham United because Kudus is that quick. Cash has got to try and stand him up here. Kudus is still going. He's running out of legs a little bit. He's lost the ball, so off we go. Manchester United, Liverpool, the first goal. John Murray.
And just the start that Manchester United and Eric Ten Hag wanted. And Scott McTominay's the goal scorer. In fact, it was Garnacho left side of the area with a shot from the angle that was parried by Kelleher, and the arriving McTominay just a yard out was able to force it into the net. And Michael Brown, it's Manchester United in front.
Yeah, massive goal for Manchester United. Eric Ten Hag, great work, a great run initially from Rashford, then that ball into Garnacho. He tries to shoot when he could have maybe just squared it across, but McTominay, fantastic.
Chance for another one, Garnacho, but a crucial block by Robertson puts it behind for a Manchester United corner. So it's lively here at Old Trafford, and it's Manchester United 1, Liverpool 0 in the quarter-final.
Well, what a story that would be if it is Manchester United, one of Liverpool's great old rivals that prevent Jurgen Klopp from having a fairy tale ending in that competition at least. Long way to go. Any more goals, you'll hear them first here on 5 Live with John and Michael at Old Trafford. But back here at London Stadium, still 1-1 between West Ham and Aston Villa, but a little flare-up, Danny Gabbidon, just a moment ago, involving the goal scorer Zaniolo.
Yeah, got lively here for a couple of seconds. Also, his handbags really between the two. Balls flicked over the top. Zaniolo looks to get in behind. I think it's Alvarez, and they're just trying to muscle each other. Zaniolo ends up going down. He falls on the legs of Alvarez. He kind of kicks out slightly. Zaniolo reacts. I think the referee's got this one absolutely spot on. Yellow cards, I think, possibly for both players here.
So cautions for the pair of them, and a free kick for West Ham United that Areola is going to take here, and there are going to be some changes. Here comes James Ward-Prowse then for West Ham United. He hasn't missed too many games in the Premier League this season. Cresswell's coming on as well. Lucas Paquetá's afternoon is done, as is Emerson's. So that is the two changes for West Ham, with Cresswell and Ward-Prowse introduced by David Moyes.
Yeah, I just think the amount of games that James Ward-Prowse has actually played this season, that's probably why he finds himself out of the team in a moment, just trying to give him a little bit of a rest. But maybe their changes that could have happened slightly earlier, because there was a significant drop-off from West Ham in terms of the energy levels from what we saw in the first half. You could just see Aston Villa slowly creeping back into this game, exerting a bit more control, and eventually getting the goal. Really well worked goal as well, back to front.
Landmark day for James Ward-Prowse personally, because it is his 450th appearance of his club career, and he is on to see if he can provide the balance in West Ham United's midfield in these final 5.5 minutes plus stoppage time. That's what's left here on 5 Live and on Well Service. West Ham 1, Aston Villa 1. Antonio with the goal for the Hammers in the first half. Zaniolo with the leveller for Villa with 11 minutes to go. And if Aston Villa do find a winner here, they will of course cement that place in fourth. They'll be 5 points ahead of Tottenham Hotspur as they try to increase the gap once more on Ange Postecoglou's team. Here they come, Villa, across for Zaniolo, out of his reach. Arriving on the scene was Watkins as well. Zuma defended that brilliantly for West Ham. He's picked up a knock in the process. Now it's a free kick. Oh, there's a bit more pushing and shoving going on here between several players. It's Douglas Luiz who's involved, as well as Mohamed Kudus. The two of them are squaring up to each other. There's others now trying to act as peacemakers, including Tomasz Souček. And the referee again having to deal with a flare-up, Danny.
Yeah, it's getting spicy. It really is. Kudus now over on that far side. Villa so much better this second half. They get in again down the left-hand side. Luca Dean, a great ball across the 6-yard box. Well defended by Zuma. And then the ball just coming out to Kudus, and Douglas Luiz is trying to nick the ball off him. He's really strong, wants the foul, and just loses his head a little bit there. I don't think he does too much wrong there, Douglas Luiz, does he?
No, he was sort of holding on to Mohamed Kudus, wasn't he? Kudus didn't like it, so reacted by throwing an arm backwards, and then Douglas Luiz's retort was to land both his elbows onto the top of Kudus' shoulders.
Like a wrestling move, that was Douglas Luiz, but again, nothing much in it really.
Hasn't been quite as lively today, Mohamed Kudus, as he was here on Thursday night, the Ghanaian, but he is still on the pitch to try and make a difference for West Ham in these final few minutes, with the score at 1-1. Remember, the semi-final draw of the FA Cup is to come a little later on. We'll bring it to you here on 5 Live in 6:06, which is on air from 5 o'clock tonight. 08085 909 693 if you want to get your calls in for Chris and Robbie. 85058 on the text. As once again the referee dips into his pocket here, Jared Gillett, to produce another yellow card. I'm not too sure who that was flashed towards, Danny. Did you get sight of that?
I'm just trying to have a look here on the monitor now, but it's got spicy in the last few minutes. Difficult one for the referee to police, but I think he's got everything right. Spot on so far.
The yellow was for Mavropanos, the West Ham United defender. So 1-1, and Villa moving forward slowly, but with the ball, with Ezri Konsa, who started this game as the right back for Villa today. He's in the centre-half position at the moment. Now they speed up a bit as they force it up to the wiry frame of Moussa Diaby, who wriggles his way out to this right-hand side. Good feet from Leon Bailey just to take it away from Johnson. And back in the centre of the pitch with Tielemans onto Cash, and Bailey on the right side, and back infield with Tielemans again, who has an interesting history in terms of goals and missed opportunities here, because he both scored and missed a penalty in 2 separate games in years gone by for Leicester City inside this stadium. As Bailey, the Jamaican, passes the ball 5 yards infield for Tielemans, teed off for Cash, back with Tielemans again, forced up towards Douglas Luiz and Konsa, and on towards Torres, and Konsa again, now Tielemans. Clearly the West Ham United supporters are sensing that their team are not seeing much of the ball, and they're trying to raise the volume and the tempo themselves.
Yeah, they certainly are. a lot easier for Villa this second half to kind of control possession and build and get up the pitch.
Zaniolo uses too much of his body. He's ended up pushing Souček to the ground, and the free kick is given against him.
Yeah, he hasn't really changed the system second half, Unai, but the personnel he's brought into the system second half have made the system work a lot better. I think from a West Ham perspective, that was always going to be maybe the worry as well, second half, with them being 1-0 up and being so positive on the front foot in the first half. Would they be able to keep those energy levels up kind of second half? And with them having the lead, would they maybe revert back to type and start sitting a little bit deeper and protecting what they have? And that's kind of what's happened, and that's kind of how Villa have been able to kind of work themselves back into this game.
It was his 250th game as West Ham United manager David Moyes on Thursday night here against Freiburg, and obviously we don't know for certain whether he is still going to be around next season. There's been speculation about his position, it feels, pretty much throughout the campaign. As Torres sends it out of play, the Aston Villa centre-half, for a West Ham United throw midway inside Villa territory on the right. We're inside the final 60 seconds. It's 1-1 between West Ham and Villa. West Ham going from right to left in these final few minutes, and we wait to see what will be added on as well by the fourth official. As Sofao comes a long way forward to take the throw, gets it to Kudus, drops a shoulder, tries to make some room, and the last touch has come off him, and it's out of play for an Aston Villa goal kick. Danny Gabbidon.
Yeah, it hasn't quite happened for him. Kudus this afternoon's found it difficult. One or two flashes of brilliance, and maybe just that bit of frustration with Douglas Luiz. Just maybe that was the reason why, because he hasn't really been able to have an effect on this game. But he's the type of player that can just make anything happen. He only needs the ball in the right areas with the quality that he has.
7 minutes of stoppage time at London Stadium, so still plenty of time for drama here on 5 Live. And on the well service, as Cash thinks he's fouled, as he tumbles to the ground halfway inside West Ham's half, it is going to be a throw to the home side. Already with the ball in his hands, Aaron Creswell scored his first goal in almost 2 years against Freiburg here on Thursday night. He sends it down the line for Ben Johnson, one of the other West Ham substitutes, but Villa get it back again with Bailey, and it's held on to by Diaby, who was falling backwards as he made that pass to Douglas Luiz. And now Torres, who again just has this sort of pedestrian-like feel about it when he gets the ball, but he wants to play a direct pass, Pau Torres. There isn't one for him at the moment. He's been hassled by Ward-Prowse. He's got it up to Zaniolo, who's flicked it wide for Digne for Villa. Zaniolo's continued his run into the box. Villa have got 4 players in there: Watkins, Bailey, Diaby and Zaniolo, Villa's goal scorer. But they're coming across from the left to right instead with Tielemans, 20 yards outside the box. Now to Bailey, who again fancies his chances up against Emerson. Cuts it back for Diaby, just outside West Ham's box. It's Tielemans with the layoff. Torres with a little sight of goal into the penalty area. Quick pass into the feet of Watkins. Watkins nearly getting it through for Moussa Diaby. He's unlucky, but great defending by Alvarez. And now West Ham try and spring up the other end on the counter-attack. Bowen's giving it to Kudus. Kudus is on the right side of Villa's box. Kudus is now inside the penalty area. He's pulled it back for Ward-Prowse. Brilliant Villa defending. That is absolutely tremendous. Matty Cash launching himself in the way of what looked like a certain goal for Ward-Prowse.
Yeah, goal-saving block, and that's what West Ham can do to you on the counter-attack.
And now Diaby for Watkins up the other end, who's inside West Ham's penalty area, and it deflects off Aaron Creswell, and now it's Villa with a corner.
Yeah, just looked like the net was going to bulge there. His eyes lit up there, James Ward-Prowse, but he comes from nowhere. Matty Cash, it's initially Villa on the attack, they lose the ball up to Bowen. Kudus gets it up against Conser, does well, cuts it back, central area, edge of the 6-yard box. He thinks he scored, James Ward-Prowse, but Cash from nowhere there, outstanding.
And both of these teams have delivered some great potential goal-saving blocks, haven't they?
There's been some excellent defending.
Really getting going now, this game. Don't really want it to end. We're 3 minutes into stoppage time. Villa corner into that near post, headed away by Souček. In fact, it was Ward-Prowse who got his head to it. It's back on the halfway line with Cash, who is going to chip it 40 yards forward into the box for Digne, who won his aerial duel, got it down to Diaby. Then Bailey shooting. Bailey slipped under pressure from Alvarez. That was a bit unfortunate. Away by West Ham. Tielemans wins the header, but his knockdown has only gone as far as a West Ham player in the form of the Mexican Alvarez again. And was there a pull on Zaniolo's shirt? Not spotted by the referee. If it was, it is going to be a West Ham throw. Zaniolo's just thrown the ball away, and he has to be careful because he is on a yellow card, Nicola Zaniolo.
Yeah, he is. He wanted the foul initially. I don't think it was. I think there was a tug on his arm as he wins the ball back from Alves, but I thought the ball had already gone over the line for the throw-in, and then he's almost looking for the foul then as he feels a bit of contact, and there's a bit of frustration shown after that. And as you say, Chris, needs to be careful. On the yellow already.
It was pretty obvious as well, and most of West Ham's players went towards Jared Gillett to say, shouldn't that be a second yellow card? And he smiled and waved it all away, and eventually West Ham's throw is taken by Creswell down the left-hand side into Villa's half, picked up by Bailey for the visitors, on by Diaby, stopped by Zuma into the feet of Souček, and now wide to that right-hand side for Sofao, who's carried it 15 yards into Villa territory, on the right into the feet of Kudus. What's left in the Ghanaian's legs, he's somehow still going, Mohamed Kudus. He's ended up on the ground. He's won an improbable free kick there off Douglas Luiz.
He's so difficult to tackle. You know, he's got that quick feet, but he's so strong as well in possession. You know, sometimes you feel you've actually tackled him, but he still bulldozes his way through, and he's able to draw fouls. He's a really difficult player to play against, Kudus. He was just manhandled initially, being it down to the floor. And Luiz comes in, draws the foul off him.
So 1-1 the scoreline, and we are in the 5th minute of the 7 of stoppage time here at London Stadium. Manchester United leading Liverpool by a goal to nil at Old Trafford, as you were hearing with John and Michael, in the FA Cup quarter-final, and Leeds 1-0 up against Millwall in the Championship. You will hear the goals first here on 5 Live and on Well Service, but West Ham now do have James Ward-Prowse on the pitch, and he is over this free kick, which is situated 10 yards in from the touchline on that right-hand side. Whipped in by Ward-Prowse, deflected. Souček has it crossed the line. West Ham think it's in, and the referee says it is. The Hammers might have won this game. Deep in stoppage time, the delivery from Ward-Prowse caused absolute havoc, and sprinting away, celebrating, Souček, Mavropanos. It might have been the latter's goal. West Ham have nicked this right at the end as Villa's players surround the referee, asking for a get-out clause. There might not be one this time. West Ham 2, Villa 1.
Yeah, I think it's Mavropanos who possibly gets the last touch. Excellent delivery from Ward-Prowse, as you would expect. Aston Villa players remonstrate, and I think they want to tug on an Aston Villa shirt, maybe that left arm around Ezri Konsa on the line as it gets bundled over. I'm not sure if they're going to get it though. Goes into an area, they don't deal with it, Aston Villa. The ball loops up. Martinez is not able to do anything about the situation. He gets bundled over the line.
But bundled over the line, it looks like eventually by Jared Bowen, but was there an arm?
Yeah,
because that I'm wondering whether it was possibly Souček, Danny, coming in, who has ended up nudging that ball in with his arm, and if that replay that we've just seen, as it will be, being assessed right now by Tony Harrington, the VAR, this is going to get disallowed.
Yeah, the ball kind of loops up. Martinez is almost behind the goal line. There's just debris everywhere. His body's on the floor, on the goal line. It's a difficult one to see again, but Souček kind of comes in and he looks like he helps it then over the line with that right arm. They're just slowing it down now, trying to have a look. It's a difficult one for VAR. Might need another angle here.
It's on the goal line, and Bowen and Souček are just scrambling to try and nudge it in, but does it come off the arm of Thomas Souček? Does it touch his arm on its way in?
Well, that angle there is impossible to see. Well, we've seen two angles which are impossible to see if it strikes the arm. I don't know if they have another one, maybe from the front side behind the goal, I don't know, but
this is really, really tricky for Tony Harrington to have a look at the footage here to determine whether there was a hand in there of Thomas Souček to nudge that ball over the Aston Villa goal line, and it pretty much was on the goal line. Mavropanos with the initial effort, it looped up into the air, Martinez was grounded, it was an almighty scramble on the line, Souček threw himself at the ball, Bowen tried to get there with his boot as well, and now they have to decide whether it's hit the arm as it goes in of Thomas Souček, and to me, Danny, just looking at that, I think it does.
Yeah, I think we've got the angle possibly now. As the ball kind of loops up, he comes in, and the ball kind of just jumps straight up in the air, and then you see that right arm kind of go towards it, and then the ball moves over the line. Now, if there isn't clear evidence, then the goal, of course, will be given. But just looking at this angle again, they're slowing it down again. It's so difficult.
Great late drama here at London Stadium. There's lots of boos from the West Ham United supporters, but they probably don't know how difficult this is to forensically pick this apart.
We're looking at an angle here, and the post is actually in the way as well. It's like obstructing the view a little bit of VAR. It's almost in line with where Souček's arm is and where the ball is, but it does look to me like it's his arm that kind of helps that over.
It's just whether the evidence is conclusive.
Yeah, but you can't actually get a shot where you can see the contact.
And that's it, isn't it? I remember a similar goal, not for a handball, but do you remember West Ham at Arsenal earlier in the season? And they were determining whether the ball had gone out of play. West Ham scored. It was given, but only because they couldn't definitively tell if the ball had crossed the line or not. It feels similar here. It's really tough to see whether that ball has struck the arm of Thomas Souček on its way to goal. It might then have hit Souček, hit Bowen and gone in. Referee Jared Gillett right now has got his hand to his ear, the referee, listening to what Tony Harrington, the VAR, is saying to him. All we have in front of us are the little screens which are playing the replay over and over again. And the decision is... Well, I thought we were about to get a decision from the referee, but we're not. He's going to look at the screen. I mean, this is...
What's he going to see that VAR couldn't?
Well, ultimately, I guess, Danny, that they are going to say to him, it's down to you.
Well,
you made the call initially, you have a look. And that feels the right thing to do. It's just it's taking a very long time.
I'm not sure by that. You look at that kind of... Was it the Newcastle-Arsenal game? With that goal where there wasn't kind of clear evidence, with the ball kind of going over the line, and in the end, the goal was kind of given. Well, I don't think there's clear evidence there either, so why would you just not give the goal? If you can't get the right angle, just leave it up to the referee this time.
We're in the 101st minute now at London Stadium. There was 7 minutes added on. The goal was scored, 5 minutes ago, 6 minutes ago perhaps. As Jared Gillett reviews the footage, here's the answer. No goal. It's been disallowed. The handball decision that referee Jared Gillett did not spot initially, he has now given, having reviewed the evidence. And after the long delay, the boos from the home crowds, the desperately disappointed looks on the face of the West Ham players, David Moyes has got a face of fury, and it is still West Ham 1, Aston Villa 1.
Well, it probably is correct, but it's difficult to find the actual shot where you get the conclusive kind of evidence that was the case. So why would Jared Gillett, why would he be able to see that and then not? I don't understand that. Baffled by that one a little bit.
One of West Ham's backroom staff has just received a yellow card from the referee as well. It is a really difficult call to make, but seasons rest on moments like that, don't they?
Do.
And West Ham will feel that they have just been denied a winner, which would have given them 3 points, which would have put them just a point behind Manchester United, who sit immediately above them in the Premier League table. And Villa might have been spared a couple.
I think it is the correct decision, but I'm not sure if they went about it the right way. But I think they might actually go off Souček's hand and then hit Bowen and go over the line as well. So, drama.
Ball chant the crowd with every pass that Aston Villa make, the West Ham United supporters. Cash's pass forward is closed down. It's out for a West Ham throw. We're now in the 103rd minute here. Still 1-1 between West Ham and Aston Villa, but we are closing in on a conclusion. But I feel the talking points are not done.
Well, possibly not. Mavropanos would be slightly disappointed that maybe he doesn't score initially from the ball in. They've just struggled to deal with a set-piece delivery, Aston Villa, this afternoon. There's been some really good delivery whipped into that 18-yard box, which Villa struggled to deal with. Mavropanos gets the first contact and he just kind of loops it up, and then all the drama happens after that.
There's Johnson for West Ham on this left flank into the feet of Ward-Prowse, but it was slightly astray of him, and out for a Aston Villa throw. And David Moyes is, I can just tell by his body language, we're so far away here. He's got his back to us, but I absolutely know what his face is going to look like, even if he's not facing us.
Yeah, he's going to be fuming, David Moyes. He will not be happy with that decision.
Zaniolo with a weak header as he tries to introduce Digne into play on that left-hand side. He's scrapping to get it back, Villa's goal scorer, but he's lost it. Souček has pushed it forward looking for Ward-Prowse. Ward-Prowse has very clearly given Konza a push in the back, and it's an Aston Villa free kick, and that might, Danny, be the last action of a fascinating afternoon.
Yeah, been a really good game of two halves really. West Ham heavily on top in the first half, obviously got their noses in front, but credit to Aston Villa, who made a couple of changes at half time, a couple more after the start of the second half, and they got themselves back into it.
And there is the full-time whistle, so nothing to split these two in the end. West Ham won, Aston Villa won, but what drama at the end at London Stadium when West Ham thought they had a winner deep in stoppage time through Thomas Souček, but the goal, after many minutes of evidence reviewing, has been scrubbed off by Jared Gillett for a handball. They've had two disallowed goals, West Ham United, in this game, having led through the goal from Antonio, the diving header in the first half, his first goal since August. The Villa leveller provided 11 minutes from time from one of their substitutes, Nicolo Zaniolo. But David Moyes is on the pitch at the moment, the West Ham United manager, and he is intent on talking to the referee, Danny Gabbidon.
Well, he certainly is. I think from a West Ham perspective, you're going to be disappointed that that goal wasn't given. From Aston Villa point of view, they'll feel the correct decision has been made. I do think it's probably the correct decision. It was a difficult one for VAR because so many bodies kind of in and around the ball. The post was kind of obstructing the view as well, but I don't think there's any other way that ball could have gone over the line. I think if it hit the chest of Souček, then I think you would have seen it, it would have been clear, but you see that right arm move towards the ball, and then the ball bounces up, and then you see it kind of move over the line. So I think the correct decision was made in the end, but always disappointing when you don't get that decision go your way in the last minute, because obviously it would have been impossible for Aston Villa to come back into the game. But probably a fair result in the end, Chris, I think. Thought Villa were the better team second.